And we're live. Okay. Oh, look at that. We already have a full chat. The leader of the Gamers is here. He's Scorpio. We already have 28 people waiting. Wow. I think this is probably the first. And you guys have already made some quite a lot of comments. I can't quite keep up. Very good. Okay. That is a lot of comments already. Okay. Well, anyway, so as I'm sure you all know, by the way, today I am first a little intro while we wait for the other people to kick in. I'm drinking what is called Fernet Branca, which is a digestive because I've been eating too much grain stuff. I'm basically a meat and salad guy myself generally. So I'm okay now, but this stuff I used to remember from many years ago when I was in Italy. That was pretty good for your liver, although it's an alcohol-based thing. Also, I'm wearing my this is the brand new jumper or sweatshirt, whatever you call it, that I left the UK with, and I really love it. It's really comfortable and everything. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's sprayed with mud and whatever because we went off road when with the snowstorm on the way to the ferry. It was the wrong road, etc. But I still like it, and I thought, it's got the little Crusader flag, and actually part of the reason I really like it is because it freaks people out, because in England now, if you wear the English flag on your back, you're considered some kind of Nazi zealot, skinhead. So I just wore it to have a laugh at that. But in this case, slightly blood-spattered Crusader armor, I guess, for what's coming. As I'm sure you all know, good old Owen had an intervention thanks to Milo, the fraud fake Catholic Emo Jones, some other fake Catholic called Coffin, who's a magician apparently, and of course the very well noted historian and one of the Catholics, the only Catholic that I have a lot of respect for on that panel, Rachel Fulton Brown, which recently did an interview with her not too long ago. And on the actual intervention, good old Owen Benjamin, who has been blaspheming the Trinity for months, I think, and in preparation for this one, I actually listened to, I think, a good chunk of his latest stream that was going on about an hour or two ago. And I saw the whole of the intervention video as well. And his response, or two of his responses the next 2 days. I just thought, for once, I'm actually going to look at the videos, know what the hell I'm talking about. So the first thing is that good old Owen, as soon as Emo Jones brought him up on, I heard that you were referencing the Trinity as a homosexual relationship between the Father and the Son. No, oh no, I was just... And I believe his comment was along the lines of, I think I semi-quoted it or paraphrased it because it was so funny. He says, no, I was just trolling a Catholic that called me a heretic. Now, as far as I know, the only Catholic that officially called him a heretic was me. And you can see the whole 14-minute video, which I suggest you go and watch later because it's quite very professionally done. I had a Pope hat and everything. It's video number 158. It is the Inquisition of the heretic Owen Benjamin. And we're very disappointed that he did not carry out the self-immolation as prescribed, which was to imbibe 12 liters of turpentine, 1 Pepto-Bismol, light his first fart on fire while aiming himself at the full moon, so that when he crash-landed on it, his spent body would teach his soul that the moon is real. That was the Kurgan Inquisition, and it happened. East Scorpio informs that Coffin is originally from Canada. Well, there was a lot of homosexuals on that show, that intervention apparently, or ex-homosexuals or whatever. Anyway, the interesting thing is that the 2 days, on the actual intervention, he was all okay. Then the next 2 days, he lost his shit, started going off at everybody, and obviously he got some feedback, because today, in the one that I heard about an hour or so ago, he was like he did basically I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry really, because he in the one of today that I heard bits of, and I didn't, he basically said, "Oh well, I didn't really want to go off at Emo Jones and the other people, but yeah, they were kind of cool, but still, I just don't agree with their stuff." And he did his atheist dance or whatever. But he still basically said that he came up with a new one, which I thought was quite imaginative. He said that all the people who agree with the Trinity are all love Hitler. Wait a minute, wasn't he the guy going on about Hitler being a good guy? Now apparently all Trinitarians love Hitler. That's fucking news to me. I certainly have never been a fan of Hitler myself. I mean, he was a mental retard for once, a homosexual and a Jew, and can sort of see. I'm going to get to that. And he repeated once again that only God is God, that Jesus is not God, and that Trinity is nonsense. So, not really learned anything, not apologized for anything, none of that shit. But one of our esteemed, and she said it's fine either way that I can mention her, and she's the very first comment on this stream, and I always try to give credit where it's due. So I hope Angel Martin, I hope Angel, I like calling you Angel, you got a pretty name. I hope that you don't mind, but I have now outed you as the person that led me onto this path, because you mentioned no-hide laws, and I was like, what the hell is that? It sounded really weird. And in fact, I am going to quote exactly what was said, because it was a very interesting little comment that you left. And I had no idea what no-hide laws was, so I said, well, what is that? Can you explain it? And Angel replied, oh man, you would find it very interesting. Basically, the Jewish Sharia law, they're trying to slowly enforce the world over. U.S. Public Law 102.14. Now, I looked this up. George Bush signed this Public Law 102.14, where it basically says that they're going to make a national holiday of these Talmudic laws. There's 7 of the Talmudic laws of Noah, inverted commas, and the penalty for breaking any of them is beheading. And guess what? Those who deny the Trinity, Jesus as God, are 100% kosher under these Talmudic laws, even if they call themselves Christians or call Christ their Savior. But if you actually uphold him as God, off with your head for the crime of idolatry. Would be funny if someone pointed this out to Owen. The 7 laws also prove Islam at 100% kosher. Also prove the Catholic Church Rome is not the harlot of Babylon. So it is pretty interesting, because let's just look at Owen's trajectory here. First, he bashes the Jew for quite a long time. Establishes a narrative. He also says he's part Jew. So, it's like me making fun of the wops, right? Well, I was born in Italy, technically, I can make fun of these posing Italians. So he said, well, I'm part Jew, so it's okay for me to make fun of the small hats. And he came up with some clever names for them. Grabblers, whatever. Although, generally, they're all things from other people. Unlike myself, Owen doesn't like to give credit for where he takes ideas from. I do. Anyway, so he establishes this narrative that, he hates the Jews are the problem, but he's part Jew. Then he starts to bash Catholics, on the excuse that he was molested by a priest, that his father, who's, I believe, half Jewish, was gay, or is gay. What does his father being gay have to do with the Catholics? I'm not sure, but he was raised Catholic, so maybe his father was a half-Jew Catholic homosexual. Kind of wondering if maybe he was also Milo's dad. Milo's Catholic, half-Jew, certainly doesn't deny that he was a homosexual, unlike some people who have a beard who deny they were. But we know they partook in that particular sin, which, I've done plenty of sins myself. It's not the fact that he probably sucked a few dicks that's the issue here. The issue here is the lying. So he starts to bash Catholics, but really all denominations, because there's very few so-called Christians that don't uphold the Trinity as being part of being a Christian. Of course, there is another guy who also didn't believe the Trinity was part of Christianity, and he made his own religion too. And coincidentally, his surname also is Smith, which is Owen's actual surname. Interesting. I wonder if there's a connection there. So, then he grows a Talmudic beard. And when I say Talmudic beard, this is different from a normal beard. I mean, I had a beard just because I came on. I actually shaved it on purpose just because one of his defenses that Owen says, I'm the only guy that's farming, got kids, and I've got a beard. I'm the only one who quotes the Bible. No, you don't. Trinity is in the Bible, 1 John 5:7. Read it up. I don't believe that Owen actually knows how to read. He skims. I don't think he's probably ever read a book in his life. And he's certainly not read the Bible cover to cover, which, I haven't done either, so. But I don't claim to. And I don't claim to quote the Bible or be a theologian or some kind of thing like that. I'm not. But I know more than most just because, I actually know how to read. Don't have to use my finger. Don't get strained by reading long books. It's okay. In fact, I tend to write long books myself. Here's mine. And guess what? I haven't read it yet, but I will. And this is a Rachel Fulton Brown book. They don't frighten me. I got a bunch of books. This one is just for fun. Ladder of the Mist. It's there. I read this one already, but I'm going to read it again because I really enjoyed it. And I read it 20 years ago, so I want to go over it again. So, reading is an essential life skill. But anyway, so the narrative is, first he bashes the Jew, but he is a Jew. Then he starts to bash the Catholics, but really all the so-called Christians. I say so-called because, of course, only Catholics are Christians as far as I'm concerned. Grows a filthy Talmudic beard, and when I say filthy Talmudic beard, I mean a beard that has food bits and fucking generic dirt in it. It's just disturbing. It's disturbing. I mentioned this many, many moons ago when I was still kind of a fan of Owen, and I thought he was a good guy, and I kind of enjoyed his streams, and I think he said some smart things, not all good or whatever, but I thought he was a genuine guy, and I still think he was. I don't know what's happened. I think over the time he's just degraded a little bit or whatever. And it's fine. People go down rabbit holes and what have you. But do you remember when he was turning pages of a dictionary by licking his finger? Do you know how disturbing that is to a normal human being? It's disgusting. And now he's got the beard with the food bits and the unwashed things, and his hands are always full. It's just, if you're going to have a beard, at least have a clean beard. And also, who has a beard? Talmudic Jews. And the Orthodox. Also, on his Instagram, he now calls himself a Rabbi of Judah. Now, these are all circumstantial evidences. But you've got to keep in mind a couple of things. One is that he hides all of this behind it's just a joke. I'd like to quote from Social Galactic, Sir Hamster. I think I can say he's Sir Hamster. He's one of the mods. He's a cool guy. I've had vicious, ugly arguments with this man on one of my, I don't even remember where, if it was YouTube channels or whatever. And he just took it in stride, and it was one of those fights that if it had been in person, we might have come to blows. And then, I thought, okay, well, he's probably going to hate my guts just because. And then on one of Vox's channel, I made a comment, and he just sort of allowed it. Like, oh, thought you were just going to ban me. Like, nah, we just arguing among men. That's fine. I'm like, oh, cool. He's a cool dude. And, I've had mad respect for the guy since. I don't even remember what we argued about. But anyway, it was probably some, Catholic versus Protestant thing, the usual. But anyway, and he makes a quote here that he says, like a madman shooting firebrands and deadly arrows, so is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. The tongue also is a fire, a world of wickedness among the parts of the body. It pollutes the whole person, sets the course of his life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. And he then comments, these are not condemnations nor judgment, they are reference points for recalibration. Hang on to your lifesaver or drown. Correct. So I don't like that whole, oh, I'm a comedian. Well, so what? Who gives a shit? Say what you mean and mean what you say. That's in the Bible, by the way. Let your yes be a yes and your no be a no. So yeah, I don't care for that. And the other thing, which I heard today, was that Owen was going on about, oh, it's not cool to like try and brainwash people with like this Trinity stuff and get power over them, you know, organized religion and this and that. And he was all over the place, but very tellingly, he did say, oh, one thing that is okay is hiding in plain sight. Hiding in plain sight is okay. Now, again, I'll admit this is all quite circumstantial. I don't think there's a smoking gun. We do know, however, that he has goats and that he sacrifices them. He eats some of these goats. He may provide some goat skin to dark powers. Some of you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, let's just say enough, to suggest that Owen's true religion is that of his ancient people, the tricky Talmudic Jews. And that is, I have to thank Angel Martin for this, because she did bring it up. I was not aware of it. And it is absolutely true that the so-called laws of Noah, there was apparently 6 of them and then a 7th one was added. You know, if you read them at first glance, they sound all right. They sound, oh, well, that's not so bad. In fact, I found a website that comes along with that sort of thing, that sort of says, hey, these, by the way, just so you know, what are these laws? Not to worship idols, not to curse God, to establish courts of justice, not to commit murder, do not commit adultery or sexual immorality, not to steal, and not to eat the flesh torn from a living animal. That 7th one was only after Noah landed the boat, apparently. But when you go into the details, because that's the whole thing about Talmudic laws, right? They're all over the place. They basically, you got to read the fine print, you know, it's a Jewish lawyer document. So you must worship God alone. Jesus cannot be worshipped since it's considered blasphemy. No idols or statues. Do not bow before any statues or idols. Do not offer sacrifices before any statues or idols. Blasphemy. Do not curse God. Well, I think the potential Talmudic Jew Owen might have to, you know, work on that one, because I think he called God the active partner of the gay relationship with Jesus. So worship and pray to the true God alone, which was something else he went on about today. But you see, the penalty for breaking any of these laws is a beheading. And the fact that George Bush signed law, whatever it was called, 10214, I believe it was. Yeah, 10214. U.S. Public Law 10214, which is basically stating that these Noah's laws or whatever are essentially to be respected, and they're civilizational and blah blah blah. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Since I, at about the age of about 22, 23, when I actually glanced into it, I came to the conclusion that America was essentially run by Jews, because why do all Americans get the tip of their dick cut off? They're not Jews, right? Oh, it's a cleanliness thing. Oh, it's a hygiene thing. No, actually, medical science, not I fucking love science, actual medical science has proven that keeping the foreskin is, kind of a good thing. Also, why would you do that to a baby? Also, I don't know if you guys know how actual Talmudic Jews do that procedure. It's quite disgusting, and it involves some old man's mouth on a little baby's dick. I am not making this up. Look it up. And yet, all of America pretty much has got snipped. Well, why would that be? Well, because America is a Freemasonic country. It was created by Freemasons. who essentially bankrupted France in order to fund the revolution for America, which resulted in Marie Antoinette losing her head and not being able to eat cake anymore. So, yeah. And Freemasonry, by the way, has a lot of Judaic influence in it. And in fact, some people would associate Freemasonry with Judaic system of resisting Catholicism. And of course, Freemasons are the antithesis to Catholicism and have always hated the Catholic Church and have tried to destroy it, from the get-go. So that's what I think. Until I have any evidence to the contrary, or until Mr. Owen Benjamin Smith gets on his knees and begs forgiveness of God and admits that the Catholic Church is the only true Holy Apostolic Catholic Church, and decides that he is gonna repent his sins, I will consider him a Talmudic Jew, possibly a rabbi of Judah, as he calls himself. And now, some of you are thinking, why the hell do you care? Why don't you just carry on doing your Catholic thing, your sedeprivationists thing? Well, I am. That's what we do. You guys not familiar with what the Catholics are like? You don't know? When we get attacked, we fight back. When we get attacked by heathens, when we get attacked by pagans, when we get attacked by Satanists, when we get attacked by Freemasons, by Jews, by Muslims, we push back. That is what Catholics do. That's what they've always done, and that's why Christendom exists. Because of Catholics, not because of the Orthodox, who all never really pushed back, made deals, lost land, got the Catholics to fight for them, betrayed them. And I was just talking to a professor, exchanging a few messages this morning with a professor on Milo's Telegram, actually. Sounds like a nice enough guy. And he says, oh, but, in the Fourth Crusade, the Catholics... and I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, seriously, read a bit earlier. That's what I was thinking. I didn't get a chance to reply to him on every point because I was busy and whatever. I had stuff to do this morning. But I was like, okay, do you realize there were 3 crusades before that? And they got betrayed every single time by the guys who came to ask them for help? Yeah, you bet that the 4th one they sacked Constantinople. And I think they were extremely charitable, because if I had been the leader of the crusades on crusade number 1, once I get betrayed once, I would turn all my crusaders back and I would take Constantinople over. That's it. No more emperor, nothing. I would have burnt down every Orthodox church there was in the land and erected Catholic ones on their ashes. That's what I would have done if I was the leader of the 1st crusade. Never mind the 4th one. What the hell? Yeah, I'm not one of those turn the other cheek kind of guy. I mean, I am for my personal shit, but no. This is a point of justice here, All right, let me see. I expect there's going to be a bunch of gammas here. There's 78 of you, so I don't know. I may have to bump some of them off. So far, intro by Milo was 1,000 times more hilarious than anything that Owen produced since many years on his hourly show. Well, Milo is a very witty guy. I met him briefly once in Paris, and he's a very erudite guy. He is extremely well read, he's extremely well educated, he is smart, he is witty, he is funny. Milo is a very funny guy. So yeah, I tend to agree that Owen is not very much up there in terms of comedy. Dan Boone says the flat earther isn't taking it well. He's been posting like a typical Protestant on his social media. I can't wrap my head around how the bears can't see his bullshit. Well. And Angel says that he won't take this well at all. He's going to be in an impossible position now. Well. Yeah, Pew and Bear says, Rabbi, maybe. I would rather claim he preaches in totally Protestant spirit of I decide what is my relationship to God, and I am the one interpreting the Bible. Paraphrase, but that's what he said. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's just a generic commentary. Oh, it was very, very funny when Owen told E.M. Jones that he learned from you that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. Thank you for that. Again, yeah. As I've said, again, there is another video which I called Grifters Catholic Edition. I think, yeah, I can't remember what video number it is, but it's on my blog. If you go on my blog and you Google Emo Jones, you will find it. And you know, a lot of people say, E. Michael Jones is one of the foremost Catholic scholars on the planet. No, no, he's not. He's not even Catholic. He's a Opus Dei sponsored liar. He is an absolute deceiver. He knows what he's doing, and he talks a lot of shit. A lot of shit. As was clear in that intervention, whatever he did with Owen. So yeah, I talked a lot of, yeah, nonsense. Oh. Gavril says Owen's argument is not clarified. He's asking a question outside of Scripture that must be required proof in Scripture. Trinity is clearly in the Bible and not a whisper of one, as he put it. Exactly. Scorpio says he doesn't say they're saved. He says they're without logos as opposed to rejecting logos. Oh, this is talking about Emo Jones and his take on the Muslims. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, Emo Jones is a grifter and he's not a Catholic, so. Pew and Bear. Yeah, Angel says exactly. Christian is a major Talmudic talking point, but honestly, does Owen even have any issue with the Talmud anymore? And Pew and Bear says, Angel, that is the spirit of Second Vatican Council, and this is what we call Novus Ordo Church. Indeed, it is. Yeah, and Michael Pecker states the obvious, which the God of the Muslims and God are different. If you deny the Trinity, you're worshipping a different God. Yeah. Gavril says EMJ was a joke. RFB at least knew it was a comedy routine and not a true theological discussion. RFB is great. I like her. RFB is Rachel Fulton Brown is. I'm not going to say that she is Novus Ordo or not. She doesn't want to get drawn into the sort of a Kantist position, at least officially. She's essentially stating that's not my field and I'm not going to get into it, which I respect. Another guy who absolutely is Novus Ordo, but I do respect him because I had long email conversations with him on the matter, is John C. Wright. Now, John C. Wright believes that Bergoglio is the Pope, and essentially his statement for why he sticks through that, never mind what Bergoglio does, is because he gave his word. In his mind, he gave his word of honor to always be truthful and loyal to what he thought was the Catholic Church. I can't fault the man for that. I can fault him for his lack of logic, lack of reasoning capacity, lack of facing the facts, lack of objectivity. But what he's saying is ultimately he's saying, look, right or wrong, I'm putting my belief in this because I believe it's a matter of honor. It is something that I do address in my book, Reclaiming the Catholic Church, which is the error of loyalty. You can have an error of loyalty. I know because I have had that myself in other circumstances. That is, you can be too loyal to somebody who doesn't deserve it, or something, or ideology, or whatever. But I respect people like that because they are in genuine error. They're not trying to avoid something. They honestly believe that they're trying to do the best that they can. I can respect that. He's wrong. We're all wrong to some degree or other, but I think I'm less wrong than he is. And I've said as much to him. I said, look, obviously you think I'm wrong. I think you're wrong, but I have greatest respect for you. And he wrote back and told me it is a rarity and a pleasure to be able to discuss with a man who has got different views from me, and yet we can still have a cordial conversation, which of course is possible only when people know how to argue. That is, axiom, premises, theory, hypothesis, conclusion, and then you shoot holes in it dialectically. Very few people can do dialectic on this planet at this point. I believe Aristotle said it a couple of thousand years and some ago, that most people are idiots. He just phrased it a lot better, but I think that percentage has been going up steadily since his days. Owen Bear makes a good point. So at least he's consistent with his religion. Well, yes, he is. If we assume that Owen Benjamin is a Talmudic Jew doing his Talmudic Jew thing to try and lead others away from the true Holy Catholic Apostolic Church, then yeah, he's very consistent. All this craziness suddenly makes sense. And that's pretty much an indicator to me that we're onto something here. Angel, oh, by the way, this is how we got talking, because Angel said, thank you, you're the first guy that mentioned the Bible. Said, I could have screamed watching 3 people fail to cite the most simple and clear possible proof from the Bible that whole stream. So she watched the intervention and was clearly frustrated by it. Brad asks for some clarifications. The Trinity is okay. Okay. Yeah, just some more commentary on the baselessness of Owen's comments about the Trinity. Okay, there's a lot of commentary in the chat about, people are quoting various parts of the Bible and so on. All good stuff. Yeah, Pio Bear makes another valid point. Says Jesus said that he and the Father are one. So this is first clue. Jesus also said, before Abraham was, I am, which was taken as a blasphemy by Jews, so they plotted to kill him. Jesus and God the Father are eternal, and the way to go about Holy Spirit is like this. Yeah. Gabriel agrees with me that Owen doesn't actually read. Oh, okay. I'm way. I won't be able to keep up with this chat. There's way too many comments. We've got 88 people. Nah, we've got a lot more than 14 thumbs up though. If we get 88 people and 14 thumbs down, we're there. We're getting there. It could be banned. I am wearing that shirt. Brad Bowles. So, and I'm hoping that's not your real name. Brad Bowles is a bit unfortunate. Bowles? Well, maybe Bowles. Yeah, Bowles. Brad Bowles. Sorry, my mispronunciation. He asked a few things. Hey, what was the Kurgan saying? I lost focus. Sorry, can somebody help me? And people sent him to 1 John 5:7. And his comment now, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just dumb. I don't know. And now, but his comment now, Brad Bowles says, I mean, I literally just read that for the first time. Seems pretty simple. There you go. A guy who's self-confessed says, look, I don't know, I'm kind of stupid, I lost focus, I wasn't really listening. He can read the Bible and he gets it. And like I said, Catholicism, why do you know it's the one true church? Because it encompasses the whole gamut, from the illiterate peasant to the deep thinking, rational, logical theologian. You've got it all. You can be an illiterate peasant and be a good Catholic, and you can be the most pernickety, detailed thinking, autistic, want to know every little bit theologian, and it covers you too. So. Oh, Peo and Bear says, so Jesus and God Father are eternal, and the relationship love, in other words, Rush or Holy Spirit, was there always too. Yeah, that's good explanation. But the point is, look, you don't have to know the intricate details of ins and outs of how the Trinity works. How does it affect your life? Does it prevent you making kids? Does it prevent you growing a beard if that's your thing? Does it prevent you being a farmer? No. It's in the Bible. Just run with it. Just accept it as is. Simple. Yeah. Chris Gavier says, my nigga Kurgan has 30 people in his stream and hasn't even started streaming. Hail! Yeah, I thought this might be a full house, but Chad Hedgecock says, tearing out pages and then saying, look, it's not in the Bible, is a classic Protestant trick. And Gabriel congratulates Brad and says, exactly, the Trinity exists. What that means and how everything is interconnected has the conflict point. Denying its existence is just ludicrous. Indeed. Mm. Oh, Angel Martin makes another decent point, which is, I have to look into it further, but my co-host says Godhood is inherent to the original definition understanding of the word Christ. I believe that is actually true. But yeah, again, I don't tend not to go to that level of detail, but I mean, I get it. Owen doesn't like the scenario that most people will go to hell. It's still a fact. That too is in the Bible, you know. Michael Pecker agrees with Chad that tearing pages out of the Bible and then saying it's not there is a tradition. Starts with Martin Luther. It does indeed. Yeah, and that is indeed the case. Angel also points out that Owen denies the salvific aspect of the Trinity, which is that Jesus as God. Simon the amputee, hello Simon. What's up? How you doing, man? It's good to see you. Looking forward to this one. Oh, these are the comments before I even came on. Good God. Dan Boone says we're looking forward to the stake burning of the bear. David Perkins says you interrupted my African history research. He's probably not kidding, because I was going to do a stream about the insurance of slaves. Very interesting. One of my most loyal, I shouldn't call them henchmen, barons. Let's call them barons. If I am the warlord of the Kurganate, I have barons now. One of my loyal barons, just discussing random things with me, mentioned it, and it's quite an interesting thing. But I need to look into it more. Oh, Deacon Blue says your indefectibility talk was great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Not a lot of people looked at the indefectibility talk, but that's fine, because it's now there, and I can send all the people that don't know how to read and don't like to read my thick tome. They're claiming the Catholic Church. I'm just going to pump myself. Why not? Here you go. Not that way. There you go. That's the book you should all read to be good Catholics. Okay? Now it's you can get it on Amazon. It answers all these questions in detail. So for those of you who are that way inclined, get the book. For those of you who can't read, strain your finger and all that because you're millennials, it's fine. Just watch the videos. Chris Javier says, when are you getting Milo in your show? I don't know that Milo will ever be on my show. First of all, I'm not big enough. He's a pretty clever marketing guy, and I think he knows how to, leverage things. It would be great to have him on here. I'd love to interview Milo, and it would be a pretty serious interview, actually. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't do it, because aside from the marketing stuff or whatever, what interests me about Milo is indeed his theology, is indeed his journey. He's an interesting guy. He really is an interesting character. And I would love to place the sedevacantist position in front of Milo, because I believe Milo is a very logical guy. And I think he would find it very difficult not to take the sedevacantist position once all the facts are presented to him. But he's a busy guy. He's got a lot on his plate, so I doubt he's had the time to look for things. If he's watching, Milo, get Reclaiming the Catholic Church, and it's all there. I know you read. Because you're a very well-read man, so I know that you read. And also, he's going through a very tough time. He's doing something very difficult. That's another thing which, actually, frankly, if he wanted some help with, I do believe I could help him with, because when you're trying to change something as deeply rooted as your sexual preferences or sexual inclination, and as I'm sure you all know, Milo was molested as a young boy, The terrible thing about that is that, obviously, aside from the obvious, but is that sexual molestation before puberty or even around puberty basically messes up your wiring in your head as to what is sexual and what becomes exciting and so on. So there's a brilliant book that I hope Milo at one point reads. It's called The Meme by Richard Semon. It was written in 1905, and it's still one of the best neurological books ever written. And it'll teach you more about neurology than most modern books ever can. And I personally have had experience of rewiring my own nervous system a few times in different settings. Unconsciously in the first instance, thanks to martial arts, then again thanks to martial arts, then hypnosis. That I have learned that I can do this. I can change even the type of foods I eat, or not necessarily foods that agree with me or disagree with me. I won't do that, but I can change whether I decide to. Usually with stuff like food, it's if I don't like the taste of something, it's because generally it's not good for me. So that's not really an idea. But as a principle, I can make myself like or dislike a particular taste or a particular smell. I have the ability to do that. Now, some things take longer than others, and whatever, something as inconsequential as a particular smell. Smells are very, very powerful, though, because they go right to the back of the original sort of brainstem part. So smells can be extremely difficult to change, things like that. And when you think about sex, you've got smell, you've got touch, you've got visuals, and it's all very primal stuff, and it's getting screwed up by somebody abusing you. It's very difficult to overcome those things if you don't understand how the neurology works. So I think there's some stuff that could help Milo there if he's interested or whatever. And quite frankly, I don't care whether the talk was public or private. I think Milo's an interesting guy. He's the kind of guy that you want to have over for dinner because it'll be an interesting conversation. Okay. Michael Pecker says, when are we going to elect Kurgan Pope? No, no, no. In order to be Pope, you have to be a cleric, and I am never, ever, ever going to be a cleric. There's that whole celibacy thing doesn't do it for me. Besides, I already have kids, and I will happily take on the role of Emperor, Grand Inquisitor, of the lay side, the armed branch of Catholicism. You've got the military branch, physical, and you've got the spiritual branch, the clerics. I'm clearly in the fighter class, not in the cleric class. So Owen Bear shares a personal point that says, my wife is agnostic, has allergy to anything God. So you may imagine, I know it's the truth. Me liking it or not does not change a thing. Yeah, generally there's some history there. If somebody is rejecting God on that emotional level, something's happened at an early age that probably changed it. Scorpio says he was the only apologist in that crew and he was too starstruck to do his job. I don't know who they're talking about now. Maybe Coffin? I don't know. David Perkins, I have never seen somebody bully as savagely as Milo did. He dropped the gay thing and kept the asshole vibe. Oh, I don't think that was even... No, I totally disagree. Perhaps because I've met Milo, but I think Milo went extremely easy on Owen. Extremely easy, real easy. In fact, I think I'm going easy on him right now, and you probably think I'm being brutal. No, Milo was very, very kind, gave him every out, just tried to make it funny. No, 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 no. I think Milo if Milo really pulled his claws out, as he said himself many times in the intervention, he can be a terribly vicious and vindictive ex-homosexual. Milo has the wit and the nastiness to truly get at you if he wants to. Uh, that was nowhere near Milo at his worst. No, that was Milo being gentle and kind, um, and self-effacing, which he is, because despite all his courage, I would call it courage, definitely. I think Milo is actually quite a sensitive and shy guy. If I ever do get Milo on an interview, there's a couple of things I'm gonna pull him up on, and they're not the things you think. It's something else. I think he's quite an intelligent and compassionate human being, and I know he hides that quite well. But I see him. I see him. Mm, okay. Pure and Bear says, I also saw a big chunk of his later stream. I feel your pain. He went on full on interpret it as thy will. Yeah. Angel Martin is throwing compliments my way, thanking me that no better person could have done this besides you. Oh, I don't know that I'm a good person, but the Hitler love, I think, is more directed to another bear group. I don't know who it's directed to, but he said everyone who loves the Trinity also loves Hitler. Okay, then. Not quite what I think, but yeah. David says Owen lost all credibility when he ran away from Nick Fuentes on the kill stream like 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, I know there was a spat there which started out of nothing as far as I can remember. I don't know, Nick Fuentes is sort of inconsequential to me. I think he's probably a nice guy or whatever, but yeah, like Owen lost his shit just because I think Nick said something like, oh, we don't agree on everything, which is, who the fuck do you agree on everything with? I don't even agree on everything with myself sometimes. I certainly changed my mind over the times. E Scorpio is making friends with one of the immortals. He says, hi, David Perkins. I mean, what's happening here? See, this is true Catholicism. Chief Gammas and patterns of the immortal army are talking to each other. David Perkins says, hey man, waiting for the Kurgan documentary. That'll be a hard one to make. The first 3 decades or so of my life, there's just, you ain't gonna find shit, buddy. But yeah. Angel Martin says, yes, you see, it seems like it was a whole plan all along. Douglas Jones, no, I'm just so thankful Kurgan saw what I was getting at completely. Well, I've got to give credit, Angel. I wouldn't have known what noetic laws are if you hadn't pointed it out. But once you said noetic laws, I was like, what? And I looked it up. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. That makes sense. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, wait. There's all these dots that lead exactly, they all point in the same direction. So yeah, I think we've cracked the code, Got to give credit to Angel. She's the detective that dug it out. I'm just the front man, as should be. I'll take the bullets. It's fine. I'm big and ugly enough. It's all right. Douglas Jones says, oh, hi, Douglas. How are you doing, matey? Douglas might end up being a neighbor one day. We don't know when. We don't know how. But he might. That would be cool. He says he rarely catches the stream live, so this is a treat. And Angel says, oh, wow. And we know he loves the Mormons. Now, I didn't know that. You must keep in mind, I've only watched the last few, the intervention and the last 2 previous streams that he did after, and I heard part of the one today. So if If Owen also loves the Mormons, that's just another data point that's leading all the same way. Still, Nacho Friend is there. I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably one of the Gammas because they're saying hi to Scorpio. But then who knows? Scorpio's greeting my immortals. It's getting very confusing here. And Mrs. Maidan says there are a growing number of people online who call themselves Christians who don't uphold the Trinity. They say it's a pagan idea. Well, I would say they're Talmudic Jews. Also, let me just be blatantly clear here for those who haven't seen the stream before or something. Let me be blunt. As far as I'm concerned, the only Catholics are the ones that reject Vatican II. And as far as I'm concerned, the only Christians on the planet are Catholics. So, what I'm saying is, unless you're a sedevacantist / sedeprivationist, however you label yourself, you are not a Catholic and you're not a Christian. And I know that's upsetting all you Baptists, including Angel, who's a Baptist. But that's just, I wouldn't even say it's my opinion. If you actually read the history of the church, if you read enough, I think that any honest human being who is willing to change his mind on the facts, not on your emotion, not on what you like, not on what you don't like, on the facts, any honest human being who's intelligent and not lazy, and actually, when I say intelligent, I don't mean you have to be a genius. I mean, 100 IQ is fine. If you're just willing to do the work of reading some of the patristic fathers, reading some of the books that I've mentioned, reading my book, I give you a lot of references. If you pick up Believe, which is like a $10 book, it's about that thick, takes you about 2 hours to read. It's got a bunch of references in there. Reclaiming the Catholic Church is a much thicker book. It's over 500 pages. It's about $25, I think, if I remember right, or something like that. And it's got even more references. It's got all the references you'll need to look into it. If it's worthwhile, you're thinking about your immortal soul, maybe spend $10 and get Believe, right? I'm just saying. And then you want to disagree with me after you've gone and checked the references, after you've looked at things and thought about them properly, be my guest. I'm not God. I don't really care where you end up. But I do believe that the Catholic Church is the ultimate truth. And also, if you look at the fruits, again, that was another thing you were saying. I look at the fruits of what people do. Really? Well, let's look at the fruit of Catholicism. They made the best system that humanity has ever had on the entire planet. And yes, it was Catholics that did that. No one else. Catholicism created Europe, and Europe eventually discovered America. And by the time that America was discovered, it then got infected with the Protestant, false, fake Christians, and was a Freemasonic country. The Freemasons jumped on it like flies on shit. Why? Because it's a brand new country with a lot of resources, and they thought, oh, here's our chance to create our realm. And they did. And they did. And again, all this stuff has pretty much been prophesied. If you're Catholic and you read about the saints and so on, you'll know most of these things. Pew and Bear says, Owen has such a thick skin, such an endurance, that it took more than 3 hours to boast about what a legend he was during hour-long Milo trap stream. Scorpio says that he gets meme Bible quotes from his bear tards. I don't know. Elizabeth M says hello to Scorpio. Another salient point that Angel mentions is that Owen, even when he was bashing Jews and talking to Adam Green, never mentioned the Noahide laws, and always found that so odd. It is the only thing truly worth bashing. David says, waiting for the discovery of some golden tablets on a small Idaho goat farm. Well, he does wear a lot of beanies, I think, and if he starts wearing a tuba hat, and then he gets Coddington to interpret some things that come out of that hat, but only the bear, the big bear, can read them. I mean, that's another thing. which grown man takes on the name bear? I mean, we all know what bears are. Since the 90s, we've all known what bears are. They're hairy gay men. You think that's a coincidence? No, I don't think so. I think Emo Jones did get one thing on the nail where he said, well, you're either an atheist or a homosexual. And I think that's what sent Owen off on a little bit of a spiral against emo for a bit. 72, no, 79 watching. There was 72 watching, but I'm sure you were not all virgins. It's not the paradise of Islam. The foot beats in his beard. Ugh, get a hand mirror, Owen. That's still Nacho, friend. I don't know who still Nacho is. I think he's one of the Gammas from the Gamma Hive. I'm guessing. I don't know. Megaphine Dirk, one misgiving I had with Owen was on a Joe Rogan podcast. He said that his children were not white. This was in relation to the future of America being non-white. Raised an eyebrow for me. Yeah, I think, again, Owen is Jewish, part Jewish. Owen was in Hollywood. We know who gets to get in Hollywood and make a success of some kind or other. I don't know. It's all very suspicious, isn't it? Angel says that she originally rooted for him too. Yeah, look, I had no idea who Owen Benjamin was. I think the first time I heard about him was my video number 3, which was, I think, in January sometime a couple of years ago. And I still didn't know he was really beyond that, other than I only found out about him because of Vox, and I'm friends with Vox and so on. But yeah, I thought he was a genuine guy trying to do a good thing and, just speaking his mind and sometimes stumbling and bumbling along, but being basically honest. That's what I thought. I no longer think that. And I haven't thought that for a long time. I haven't listened to Owen in well over a year now. I don't know. Maybe, I honestly don't. It must be probably close to 2 years by now. I don't know. I've been busy, but certainly I've only listened recently of the intervention. I knew that was coming because I keep an eye on Milo, like very distant eye on Milo. But he's an interesting guy. And when he crashed and burned, when Milo crashed and burned, I predicted that actually with the ilk group that I was in. I told them, I said, that guy he's gonna crash. He's gotta crash. And I hope for his sake that he survives it, because it's gonna be a big one. And it was a big one. And he seems to have survived it. He seems to be on the right track. So I wish him all the best. Milo's an interesting character. He's one of those guys that could become, really run off. Well, quite a lot of you have, but there's still a bunch of you. So 33, like the age that Jesus died at. So, okay. So where are we? Oh, okay. I've missed a bunch of your. Hold on. I can get the. I should be able to get the. There we go. Your comments. I try to read all your comments as I can. I might not be able to on the stream because there's a lot of you, but. So, do you think that a modern day Charles Martel? Okay, there's some interesting questions here. Good. I'm glad I can still see this. Okay, so where are we? Yeah. Simon Dempity says, I'm ready for battle with the bears, waiting for orders, General Kurgan. Thank you, Simon. I shall call upon you if we need to, and remember that you know where the Kurgan it is, more or less. So if you want to move here, let us know. But just to be clear, if you're gonna be part of my Kurganate, you have to be a proper Catholic. None of this infiltration. There will be inquisitions. Marranos and Moriscos will be inquisited. If you don't know what those two things are, look them up. Again, in my book too. The Inquisition dealt with Moriscos and Marranos. I don't know. Oh, David Perkins says that Sir Hamster always deleted his posts. That's because Social Galactus is clean speech. Somebody said about... somebody said... I think it was E Scorpio says, I just want to know if you will be burnt at the stake. And Deacon Blue goes, given his focus, rectal impalement, not burning. Yeah, Owen certainly does talk a lot about dicks and anal sex. There's a lot of that. Okay, case closed. I don't know. There's people are you're sort of arguing with each other too fast. So QED. Yeah, it is. That's the thing. He did mention that, as long as it's hiding in plain sight, then it's fine. Of all the people that come to the rescue, I would never have expected that E Scorpio comes up with a defense for Owen. He says, could it be that Owen is just an idiot? It's very charitable of you. But Owen actually shows quite a high level of intelligence in. See, people mistake intelligence for effectiveness. It's not. I know some extremely intelligent people who are absolute fucking train wrecks. Intelligence is not a function of effectiveness. That's how I personally measure intelligence, but and I think how most people would like to measure intelligence, but that's not the case. Having a high IQ doesn't mean that you're effective or good or So Owen does show verbally certain level of I think he's getting rustier as he gets older and fatter, but he does have a relatively high IQ. I think it's just like idiot savants, except he's not like an idiot savant in that he's not actually really good at anything, but he's got sparks here and there, like misfiring things. It's kind of like a car that will you know get to 100 k's an hour in like 2 seconds for about 2 seconds, and then not do it for like 3 weeks and so on. So there is that. So yeah. And Angel says, yeah, and these no-hide law things, yes, and they're totally out in the open, yet somehow the conspiracy anti-Zionist crowd almost never discussed them. So it is very interesting. I mean, I had no idea they existed. So if Owen ever gets hold of a Quran, I bet money we will get to see a Ruby Ridge 2.0 stream. Fucking hell. That's, those of you who don't know Ruby Ridge is, what Ruby Ridge is, it's a pretty sad story actually, but that was funny. Noah Hyde is in EU as well, I believe. Oh, I didn't know that. That's very interesting. They're definitely trying to put it all over the world. Bush's Skull and Bones, that is directly opposing Catholic Church. Yes, of course. Any secret organization is opposing to Catholic Church. As a Catholic, the weird thing is I had that even when I was like pretty much almost atheist. I always thought, well, if you have to be part of a secret organization when nobody's actually hunting you down trying to kill you, and even in South Africa, you could pretty much say whatever you wanted when I lived there. It's like, what the hell? Why would you have to be part of a secret organization? That's just people with no balls, And yeah, liars, scumbags, and cowards. And Angel says that sure, but the point is it will be funny to see him squirm out of this, whether intentional or not. Okay. And Angel says that yes, these no-hide laws have basically conquered all the halls of power already, and these laws are sleeping on the books. Indeed. No-hide is everywhere worldwide. Interesting. Oh yeah, the whole thing about the Jews is that the goyim are basically going to be their slaves, and their highest rabbis have said this openly, that each Jew is going to have like a couple of thousand goyim slaves and so on. They basically think of us as beasts of the field. Elizabeth M says, yes, he is an idiot wizard. Well, the thing is, I don't know, but in Dungeons and Dragons, you have to be pretty smart to be a wizard. Although, I suppose there are orc wizards or something. Angel says, if any of this was intentional, you've just destroyed a carefully laid plan years in the making. Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, we'll see. And I couldn't have done it without you, Angel. I have to give credit where it's due. Daniel says that if Owen refuses to self-immolate, you may hire me for a small fee. Very good. And Hugo says, that's right, Crusades. Heretics must burn. Fourth Crusade. Yeah, Chris Javier says, I will not apologize for the Fourth Crusade. Fourth Crusade was funny. Okay, I've started something here. Venice paid back the Orthodox in the Fourth Crusade. Indeed, Venice was involved. Constantinople was taken on Pentecost because the people blasphemed against the Holy Ghost. There you go. What are we talking about now? 1453. Oh, Titty Salad says, sounds like a sweet and cuddly crusade. Oh, not quite. The Lion says, I've heard that some years before the Fourth Crusade, Catholics had been massacred in Constantinople. Not just in Constantinople. The Orthodox literally made pacts with the Muslims to kill and destroy the armies of the Catholics that had come to help them against the Muslims. They literally did that. Like, went into battle alongside the Muslims to kill the guys who'd come to help them. They did that for like 3 crusades in a row. And then they got all shocked and surprised that, oh, look at the evil Catholics. They did a crusade on our city on the 4th time after we, backstabbed them 3 times in a row. Fucking ridiculous. Circumcision was God's command to Abram after God called him out of Babylon, a pagan nation. It was a physical symbol. In the New Testament, after Christ, it became spiritual circumcision of the heart. Yeah, okay. Titi Salad asks, do you think Milo is legit a reformed gay? I think he's legitimately trying to be. There may be slipbacks and whatever, so no one is originally gay. Alpha 7 says Milo was never gay, in my opinion. Milo, though, was abused as a kid, and that fucks you up. So that's what I think. Rekitanko says, E.M. Jones is good on the Jews. Libido dominante is pretty good, no? No. I don't care what E.M. Jones writes. I will never read any of his books. He is a liar, and he's a deceiver, and he supports the Satanist in power at the moment in the Vatican, which is a completely satanic organization. They are literally trying to stole the Catholic Church. And Emo Jones knows it, and as far as I'm concerned, he's one of them. So no. There's nothing that guy does that is of any value. Nothing. And I don't care if there is something that is of value that he does. I consider it as nothing. Because he is on the side of the enemy. And let me get this straight again for you people. Don't be confused. Catholics are the only people that fought back against the enemy throughout history. So, that's all that's happening here. Oh, I think one of the kids is, the wife's got to it. And Dances with Logo says, Milo's awesome. No heresy against Milo, please. I don't know Milo well enough to know, but he's always been very funny and very intelligent. And I think he is going through some stuff for sure. So yeah, I like the guy. I would definitely like to have a talk with him. He's the kind of guy that honestly you would enjoy having a long conversation with him just about anything. Very intelligent guy, very easygoing, quite self-effacing as well, and like all English people, shy and logical. So, and Fuzzy Bear says we all know which Dark Lord exposed Owen to these beliefs. I don't know. Um, I don't know that Vox has said anything to Owen about the Trinity. I had a conversation with Vox about the Trinity very briefly, and frankly, I don't think so. Certainly, Vox would never go that far. And I think Vox recently put on his blog about what he believes in, and it's one of the credos. I think one of the earlier credos, which it's pretty clear. He's been pretty clear about what he believes. Hmm. Practical daily living says Talmudic Jews and many Christians and non-Christians don't understand spiritual things. They're governed by sense knowledge, five senses, rather than relation knowledge. Whatever. Mrs. Maidanum says, yep, Vox be another Trinity denier. His position is more complicated than that, and I'm not going to say any more because, like I said, I have had a conversation with him on it, where, short though it was, I think, better discussed than whatever you guys think he thinks. And I thought he got all the stuff from Crow777. That's probably much more likely the case. I'm fairly sure that Vox does not agree with Owen at all on any of the theology that Owen has. And he pretty much stated that on one of his blog posts, where he said, like, the fact that Owen believes whatever he believes and he can continue to stumble and bumble along, those were his exact words, I believe. So, and yeah, I think that's more accurate. What Dancer's logo says, Vox is agnostic about it. Who cares? Yeah, I'd say that's probably a fair interpretation. To a certain extent, so am I. I mean, I'm just saying Trinity's in the Bible. It's good enough for me. Catholicism says, you got to believe it to be a Catholic. That's fine. I don't have an issue with it. So yeah, Vox does believe in the Trinity. It's very nuanced. Like I said, I'm not going to speak for Vox. If he wants to talk about it, he can talk about it. Yeah, denying Jesus is God is another story, indeed. Yep, that's exactly true. Vox did say he doesn't listen to Owen regarding theology. Exactly right. All right. Well, Mossberg. Why are we giving Dancers with Logos getting upset that gammas are getting a platform? I give everybody a platform until they act in a way that is where they overstep certain lines that are very clear. So Wuta Bear says, first time I've caught one of your live streams. My family is French Catholic who settled in St. Louis, USA area in 1820s. What is your opinion of the Knights of Columbus? I heard you mention Opus Dei. The Knights of Columbus are fake Catholic. I don't know why you people keep asking me that. Anyone that recognizes Bergoglio or any of the anti-popes as a pope is not Catholic. They are heretics, just like all the other heretics. Okay, you guys are going on about what Vox believes or not. I don't know. Ask him. Before Michael Pecker asks, do you think that a modern-day Charles Martel or Charlemagne is born yet? That depends whether we're in the supposed end times or not. If we are, possibly. If we are, it may start in France. I found Vox's blog today, where the French generals basically wrote a letter to the government saying, get your shit together or we will do it for you with force of arms, in slightly more poetic language. May well be the precursor to that. The Catholic prophecies about The end times is that, and sorry, when I say the end times, there's two different end times, and I don't know which one this is because as far it's something that I'm not interested in personally. If we are in the end times, we are in the end times. If we are in the pre-end times, then whatever. I don't care because either way, your reaction should be the same. Just hold the line. That's it. But there is the the common prophecy that has been prophesied by many different saints throughout the centuries is that a prince or king type guy will come up in France and he will start the revolution that will basically be the Reconquista of Christianity. But France will pretty much burn as a result of it and almost be completely destroyed, as will many parts of Europe. Then you guys are going on about the Filiochi. Yeah, the fact that's the whole point. That's the whole point of why Jesus was killed. They killed him because he claimed to be, on well, part of the Trinity in essence. Like, if you know the Father but you don't know me, you don't know that sort of thing. Or if you know me but you don't know the Father, then you don't know me, sort of thing. Vox follows the original Nicene Creed of 325. It says the Father and Son are of the same substance, but leaves the Holy Spirit out of the Trinity. And that is not necessarily kind of wrong in itself, because there is clearly a qualitative difference between the Holy Spirit and Jesus, as there is between Jesus and God, and there is between God and. So it's a very subtle kind of interpretation, and frankly, I'm happy to accept the Trinity as is, as the Catholic Church teaches it. It's fine. To me, that's good enough for me. Um, and Angel Martin says, yeah, there are many alleged Christian conservatives. Yeah, SSPX, SSPV, Knights of Columbus. I've been contacted by a guy who kept pestering me for months about, oh, we should meet. I've got some secret knowledge, and oh, we've got these things that show us that we don't like Bergoglio, and that we are, the true knights of the fucking whatever the fuck. And I'm like, I don't care. Do you or do you not reject everything that was Vatican II? Oh, we don't like Vatican II. That's not what I asked. Do you or do you not reject everything connected to Vatican II and every standing priest that claims to be a member of the Catholic Church but doesn't reject Vatican II? Yes or no? And he wouldn't answer that question. So, but he's been pestering me for offered me money, all sorts. It's like, I'm telling you, they come out of the woodwork once they realize, oh, there's an actual Catholic here. Quickly, let's divert him. It's not uncommon. If you can read Italian, read the story of Don Villa, which I mention in my book as well. The kind of money that was offered to that man and the kind of way they treated him, it's disgusting. Left comment on his last post that just said false teacher. Okay. Okay, Philok has to do with the Holy Spirit proceeding from the Father and the Son. Right. Yeah. Again, if you can read and you can read the Bible, you cannot be an Orthodox. Clearly, the Holy Spirit proceeds from both. Give it a listen. I share the stream too. Unfortunately, Owen is an unteachable. Elizabeth says that unfortunately Owen has an unteachable spirit. Yeah. Michael Pecker says that the Nicene Creed is not incorrect. It has been perfected by subsequent councils. That's pretty much my take on it too. So. Yeah. Angel Martin says that I notice very few bears showing their faces here. Well, I do have a little bit of a reputation for taking heads. Dancer says, no disrespect to our leader, Hail Kurgan. That was because she made a comment about, why are we giving Cam as a platform? Because we're Christian Catholics. We give everybody the chance to lose their head, so that when we take it in full knowledge that we did the right thing. Chorizo Bear, consistently growing a family and teaching basic skills in farming. I don't know who you're saying is doing that, but growing a family is not that unique. If you've got a dick and a wife, you can do it too. Yeah, some more commentary on the Bible. Sorry, I am just trying to catch up with the stream. Deacon Blue says on SG, someone said 1 John 5:7 is controversial and added late. No, it's not. Again, you have to go to some pretty decent sources and go. It's a grabbly thing. You got to remember that the Bible pissed off a lot of the Pharisees, the Talmudic Jews. And in fact, the KJV that some people say, oh, it's the best Bible, that was edited for 700 years by Pharisees. So, Tom says that he stopped tuning into Vox a long time ago when he trashed apostolic succession and said God, while omnipotent and omnipresent, is not omniscient, citing our Lord's not knowing the day nor the hour. Well, I don't know that he trashed apostolic succession. I didn't see that stream. I don't really listen to Vox's streams. And I don't believe that Vox has said that God is not omniscient. He said he's tantiscient, tantipotent, and tantipresent, meaning that he can know whatever he wants about anything, but he chooses to not always do so. And it is true that not even Jesus knows the day nor the hour. So his reasoning is logical. I don't know what he said about the apostolic succession, so I'm not commenting on that. But actually, his explanation of tantipotent, tantipresent, and tantiscient rather than omni is, I think, a very clever, a very intelligent way of looking at it, because it's not that God cannot be those things, is that he chooses not to be in certain times and certain situations. I think for our benefit as well as possibly his own love, So I don't think that is blasphemous at all. He's not strictly saying that he's not all of those things. He can be when he wants to. And he made the example if you've read The Irrational Atheist, he explains it much better there, where he basically says it's like a game designer who can freeze the game, and he literally can see the whole game at any part of the game at any point that he wants. Now, from the perspective of the people in the game, that is absolutely omniscient. He can literally freeze the game and out of time know everything that's in that game. But it doesn't mean that any given second he necessarily knows everything about the game. I mean, he can even freeze the game, go back and change stuff after it's happened or whatever. So it's quite a good analogy. I think it's quite a well thought out idea, actually. Yeah. Megafin Dirk says, where can I get more information on axiom theory dialectic argument? Well, at the risk of sounding like a narcissistic marketing freak, which the Gammas will accuse me of, in here, because I know that you guys, it's a shocking, sad thing, but it's in chapter 1. I discuss the whole concept of logical reasoning and how that is a thing. It's like you have to have that. You can't. I'm actually trying to find it while I talk to you briefly. You can't think, you can't reason, you can't come to any conclusions if you don't know how to think. And I actually list that because you have to know how to think before you can. There you go. 1.3, able to think rationally and logically. And it's what is that, page 54? That I think I give you a list. There you go. So on page 54 of my book, I tell you there the list of things, and I describe what they are: axiom, premises, hypothesis, arguments, testing, theory, prediction, revision. That is how you have a correct argument. So, and Angel Martin says that I started before Owen even stopped supporting Hillary. If Owen wants to be a lifestyle vlog, great, then stop talking on theology. Good point. David Perkins says there is a big difference between the people who found Owen through Vox and those who found Vox through Owen. Okay, Holy Trinity. Daniel says that beards are gross. Tend to agree. So do most women, actually. Michael Pecker takes offense at David Perkins' comment and says, "What do you mean? I found Vox through Owen." Angel agrees with David Perkins. We've got a little bit of infighting going on here. LS16 says to Dilo, "I think Kurgan allows them for his own sense of humor. This arbitrary whim maybe is one example of proper cult leadership. He's never even asked me for money or tried to sleep with my wife." I love the Gammas because, as long as they behave, I find them pretty harmless. They can occasionally be funny. And Scorpio, like I said, when I had that 3-day AMA on their Gamma Hive, he was a man of his word and he kept it to the letter. And I find that so rare today with anybody that just that alone is good enough reason for me to have. He was originally blocked. I blocked him because I knew it was one of the Gammas. He'd made some comment and I unblocked Scorpio just. And as long as he keeps behaving, which he seems to be doing, I got no problem with the guy. I think Scorpio is another guy that I think I could probably have an enjoyable drink with. I don't know that I don't think he's anywhere near as smart as Milo, and I don't think he would be as entertaining. But I'd have his Scorpio over for a drink. I'd have him over for a beer and just talk shit with him. He can be a funny guy. He's got a completely different view of life, probably from what I have. But I think he's probably a decent dad. I know he loves his daughters and so on. He's just a guy, doing his thing. He's amused by other things. He enjoys taking the piss of people that, maybe I don't enjoy taking the piss of or whatever, but that's fine. Uh, Wait, so where are we? Oh, Michael says, I also found Kurgan through Owen. Man, Hugo says, Christ is an ancient Greek for God. An American Kiwi Bear says, David, what about people who found each one completely separately? I ran across and have read Vox's blog since 10 years ago and Owen about 3.5. Oh, I don't know. I think we've got a new social sexual hierarchy going on here about who you came to first. That's obviously the Sigmas are the ones who came to me first. It's fun. Angel, just keep one's own opinion, which we're all entitled to give or listen. It's on average, not individually. Michael says, Peon Bear says, both Vox and Kurgan via Owen. Who knows interesting people? Too bad he's so crazy. Okay, guys arguing about the Nicene Creed. And Angel says that no one is entitled to give their opinion to Owen, though, unfortunately. I'm rooting for Milo. Okay, American Kiwi Bear. The Bears. Brigitte. BR1CHT, I don't know how to pronounce it. The bears tend to be very non-intellectual but good guys. I'd say that's a fair assessment of the bears in my experience. Chorizo Bear says, grow a beard and you can give your opinion. Okay, I'm so far behind on this. I don't know if I'll ever catch up. Oh. It's funny. I'm sorry. I'm just reading the chat, but it's hilarious. P1 Bear says that Owen wasn't too elegant about Milo on his later stream. Basically, he's very skeptical about Milo's attempt to straighten out. Milo must find the real Catholic Church. I know. And David says the problem with the Bears not getting smart people stuff results from their socioeconomic status generally being peasant. And P1 Bear says, I'm elegant about it. Brad says that Owen is a narcissist. There's certainly a lot of traits of that, yeah. Angel says, David Perkins, interesting idea. I would say I am peasant class now. Husband makes 50k a year, but we both descend from extremely blue blood lines. I have often wondered if this factors into things. Yes, it does. Our ancestry is part of our DNA. And if you also read up into epigenetics, yeah. Man Hugo says, warrior class all the way. You gotta see, a lot of people claim that. But then, when the shit hits the fan, there's very few left standing next to you, so. Dan in Georgia says, someone's got to replace the Swiss Guard. Well, yes, along with every single person in the Vatican. I mean, if it were up to me, we would go marching on the Vatican with an actual literal army and clean it out very quickly. The consecration, reconsecration, cleaning of every pebble in that place would take years, of course. Ricky Tanko says, could you give me the name of that book on rewiring again? Yeah, one of these days when I have time, I'm going to compile a list of the 100 best books. It's called The Meme, but it's spelled M-N-E, M-E, I think. Yeah, Meme. So M-N-E-M-E. And it's by Richard Simeon. He's a guy that I think Richard Dawkins plagiarized, because Richard Dawkins' thesis instructor was very familiar with Richard Simeon, who was a German guy, wrote it in 1905. And Richard Dawkins came out with The Selfish Gene or something like that, which was kind of like a journalist's effort to try and steal somebody else's ideas. Kind of like what Graham Hancock did with My Face on Mars. You know, they just take what they think is the theory and then they fuck it up, even though they have it right there written in front of them. So, yeah. Small blood thing. And you know, that blood thing, there's also another thing that I found. You know, I, like everybody, you know, I got sort of Pew and Bear says that Dan in Georgia, Kurgan as a Swiss Guard. No. First of all, because the Swiss are just the most boring people on earth. And secondly, because no, I do not plan to stand outside protecting the priests. No, I plan to go out there to protect Christendom. But yeah, the thing about the blue blood, you know, I was raised just like most people, you know, with the whole civ nat and everybody's equal and, oh, we've got to be nice to everyone, all that shit. Although it wasn't, you know, in my heart. But I always pretty much thought it didn't matter where you were born. And, you know, I was born in Italy, but I was like, didn't really like Italians. And, you know, that took me a while to figure out because I was born in Piedmont, but I'm Venetian. When I went back to Venice 30 years later, I was like, wait a minute, I get on with these guys. I mean, they're all assholes, but they're kind of my kind of asshole, you know. They're just rude to you on purpose just to see how you react. That's cool. I like that. And that hit me when I started working in Venice. I was about 30 or so, going through my first divorce. Pretty much, I was flying in and out of Venice from London every week or 2 weeks. And as the plane turned on top of Venice, and I saw all those I saw Venice below me and all the little islands in the lagoon. I just got this instinctive feeling like that's my land. And the weird thing is, I lived in Cape Town for several years and I loved Cape Town. It was a nice city. And whenever I came back from whatever trip I went to or whatever, I'd drive back home. And when I drove home and I saw the bay of Cape Town, I was like, yeah, I kind of made this my place. This is the place I chose to live. This is where this is kind of my home. But there was always like a little something missing. And when I was in this plane and I saw the Venice down there, I was like, that's my, it was so visceral. It was like, what the hell? And I mentioned it to this Greek guy that was working for my uncle at the time. And he said, well, of course, it's in the blood, which at the time to me sounded like a very Nazi kind of ideology, but I couldn't deny that that's made some sense. And he goes, no, 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 it's in there from your ancestors and whatever. And plus, I've always been a sea guy and an ocean guy. I've never been a mountain guy. So I don't know. I think there is something to that. And yes, that's correct. Milo was just nudging him. There wasn't even a shadow what he could have dished out. Indeed. And another Angela says it isn't Owen's place to question another man's repentance. Indeed. David Perkins. My husband is actually descended from the founder of Australia and related to the PM who instituted apartheid. Well, I think you should become a Catholic. You've got the potential to be a proper crusader there. Yeah. Chorizo Bear says, no man is good, which is absolutely true. I think I met Chorizo Bear, if I remember who that is. He had a little beard. I think I met you in Indiana or wherever the place was. Yeah. Brad says it was because Nick said something about him being a Jew, which in hindsight makes sense. Ah, I don't know. Well, as Douglas Jones says, well, things just get more and more interesting. The kingdom is within. Yeah, the bears are degenerate peasants who have an extra 400 to spend on land that they'll probably never even go to. How dare they have a loving community that trusts each other and show love? Cult. No, I wouldn't say they're degenerate peasants. They're intellectual peasants, and I feel a bit sorry for the ones that they've gave $400 thinking that they're going to go to a place where there's going to be cabins and they can go there whenever they want and whatever. That's not how it works. If you're going to buy into a timeshare, you should have a contract. You should read what you're signing, that sort of thing. So Owen ran away from a confrontation. He demanded very alpha energy. Okay, I don't know if that's about the Nick guy or Fuentes is a party name though. Okay, they're going on about the Angel says, LOL, I know Owen is afraid of you. I don't know if he is or not. I don't care. Yeah, iPhones all over the Mormons who are also Noah Hyde approved. Interesting. Oh no, not God-fearing Mormons. Oh my God. The kingdom is within. I think you're starting to stink of Gamma Bear. It's a new stench. So watch yourself. Then cried about it for a year. Okay, I know I'm not a fan. He seems like a glowy. Kingdom is within. Yeah, Gabriel makes a point to the kingdom is within. No one said degenerate. You said that. We said good people. Quite correct. Bear Church of Owen Benjamin, so I'm still in a cult, just not a Christian cult. Do I have that right? I don't know, Bear Church of Owen Benjamin, but given your name, I don't think you're going to last here very long. Could you please name the book and author on rewiring in 1905? I believe I've answered that. Megafine Dirk. Richard Simeon, called The Meme. And it's an old book, so you got to find, I think it's on classic reprints or something like that. Or you can find it on Amazon. If you Google it there, you should find it. Yep, and the kingdom within lied and said that, oh, David Perkins said degenerate. Says where? He said peasant, not degenerate. Uh, Douglas Jones. Oh, Elizabeth M says, can't we all just be followers of the way? And Douglas Jones goes, no, as there is only one way, so the false past must be called out and destroyed. Yes, Douglas, that is correct. You're starting to get that crusading Catholic vibe. I like that. Okay, it's time for good old The Kingdom is Within to get banned. He doesn't know his place. He thinks that this is like some kind of democracy. No, it's not a democracy. You're an idiot, and you can go back to your bear cult. Angel Martin says, I know where Kurgan stands on Catholicism and Christianity, and it doesn't upset me. I feel we have a shared enemy who plans to behead us. That's it. You know, the thing about Angel is I have another friend who is, like yourself, a Baptist. I think, unlike yourself, he's a proper Baptist. I don't think he can read, and I'm not sure he wears shoes, but I think you look a bit more sophisticated than that. So you must be one of the more evolved Baptists. I don't know. But anyway, and we laugh about the fact that, I call him a filthy heretic that, is just not going to be saved. And he's like, well, whatever, you papist. But he's a guy I'd stand in a foxhole with. Hell, I know a guy who was basically a Calvinist who I'd stand in a foxhole with. And he makes jokes at me, where he says, I played Crusader Kings, and on the map there's the Kurganate. And then I looked and there were Jews. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, dude, I don't even have the game. I've never played. So it's not my fault, because I was kidding. And the reason I stand in a foxhole with them is because they're honest. They won't lie. They might be completely fucking wrong. They might be in error. I've been in total error before, so. So, yeah. Pew and Bear Cell, I still remember Master Rhetoric move by the Kurgan against Owen. Owen is emotionally incontinent. That wasn't even rhetoric, that was dialectic. It's true. Elizabeth says, really? The way is what the apostles in the book of Acts call themselves. It might have been, but I'd say that the way that you're talking about is probably something Joel Osteen smeared. Deacon Blue says, I was Lutheran 30 plus years, then just couldn't keep asking the same question I had when I was 9 years old, so I read a lot, and there's no question that Catholicism is the only Christianity on the planet. Deacon Blue, you see, people like you astonish me. They are genuinely people I have the highest respect for, because you have done what very few human beings do, and it's analogous to Milo, becoming heterosexual. 30 years of indoctrination in something, and probably everybody around you of the same belief system. It's just, you can't. It's very difficult for the average human being to get past, and the fact that you have done is astonishing. I take my hat off to you, sir. I truly salute you. You're an unusual man. So, yeah, I hope you'll be part of the Kurganate soon. And yeah. Richard says my 90s were different. The King Within, thanks for announcing. Oh, the Kingdom Within was announcing that he's flouncing off somewhere before I banned him. Well, whatever. I banned him before he could. So. That's right, Gabriel says, Angel, he had to go before Kurgan caught up with the chat and banned him. That's exactly what happened. And I'm still only halfway through. I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't know if you guys want me to keep going. Just let me know. It's a very long chat, but there's 55 of you here, so, and I'm feeling strong. Although I haven't slept fuck all last night, but and that has what to do with my statement. In one sentence, you demonstrated you're too short for this ride. Some of my mortals are starting to get brutal. And you know, brutality is fine. You just gotta be correct on the logic, because otherwise, it's wrong. Now Owen's new catchphrase is that he's not building a cult, but culture. Yeah, well, some culture comes from bacteria, and he certainly harvests a lot of that shit in his fingers and his beard, so. And Pure says that he prefers Kurgan culture. That's right. Clean hands, despite me being a farmer. And you'll notice they're clean, but they're not wound-free. Where was the camera? There you go. And my little dude says, "Oh, Dad, pump." That's what he says when he bashes himself. So he's a tough little guy, but you know, when he gets like a thorn or something, like the last time he got a thorn, I was like pulling it out with a needle, you know, to cut his skin to get it out. And he just stands it, doesn't even whine, nothing. Just knows that my dad's gonna sort it out. Just quietly stands there like a Viking. It's the most awesome thing. He's not even 2 years old, and you know, he talks a bit here and there. He can make himself, but his statement for anything, and it could be like he cut his tongue because, like, I don't know how the fuck he did it. He fell like on the steps or something. He had a pretty big cut, like on his tongue, and he wouldn't open his mouth because there was blood coming out of his mouth. I'm like, fuck, does he still have his tongue? And I was trying to open it gently, you know, and he wouldn't open it. He was just like, and he wouldn't even cry. You know, he cried for a bit, and then he was like, I was like, come on, dude, just open your mouth. You know, let me see inside the mouth. You know, just open, go, you know, brush teeth. And he was like, like blood trickling out of his mouth. He just wouldn't open it. Took me 2 days later when he laughed, and I saw his tongue. Okay, he's got a cut there. It's like a pretty big cut. You know, it's okay. He's okay. He's fine. But it's just, yeah, it's funny to see how, you know, like my neighbor was like saying, you know, I was talking to the neighbor, and I went into the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor's got like fucking tractors and broken glass. He's got shit everywhere. So I told, you know, the monkey and the Viking, you know, the monkey's his sister, the older one. Look, just go back there, you know, go back. Don't come here because, you know, there's a lot of shit that'll fuck you up here, basically. And on the way, you know, they played around, they didn't listen to me, and then I said, hey, go back. So they start to go back, and the little Viking slipped and fell like, doof. It was like, you know, it was like, wasn't hurt, but he was kind of like, you know, he hates touching dirt. That's how I know he's a prince, like his dad. And like, and the old man's like, oh, no, go help him, you know, go help him, go help your son, he fell over. I'm like, dude, he's fine, you know, you get up. He's like, no, but you know, he's small. I said, listen, I'm already an old man. You know, if when he's in his 20s I'm still alive, that'll be kind of lucky. So he's got to toughen up. And don't worry, you know, I give him his cuddles and stuff, and he knows I love him. When, you know, but now I told him to go there, and he didn't listen the first 2 or 3 times. So, you know, it's fine. He can work his ass off there by himself now. He's got to get tougher. And, you know, I'm not brutal with him. I am brutal by nature, but you have to be right when you're brutal. Because remember, especially warrior caste people, we can easily make errors in that way. So, yeah. David Perkins says that the kingdom is within. He will be missed. I'm sure David Perkins is British. He must be. He's got a very quick sense of humor. Oh, and that's my comment saying it will come back because the stream sometimes drops. So sorry about that. Yeah, the stream froze. Hold the line, David Perkins. Good man. See, when the stream dropped and Pure said, is it me or did the stream froze? David Perkins just said, hold the line. Saying, no, it froze for me too. We can read about Kurgan culture in the meantime. Okay, you guys wonder if it was a problem. Chris Gavier, he said it will come back. Be patient, because I posted that little comment. Michael Pecker says, I think Owen is a pseudo-cult leader. The bears just follow whatever he says. Yeah, I kind of agree. Gavros said, Sede compounds in olive country. I'm not supposed to be envious, but hey, where there's a will, there's a way, Gavro. Remember, you just have to be a proper Catholic and survive the Inquisition that will follow to make sure that you're not a Morisco or a Morasco, whatever. or some other kind of, Mormon. Back on. And Michael Pecker says, for example, when Owen started with the Trinity denial, I noticed that the Bears largely adopted this. Yeah, it's like they don't have their own sort of, I guess they're like little sticks in the river or leaves in the wind. Okay. Accepting heretics is the spirit of Vatican II, says Pio and Bear, indeed. Angel says, I agree too. I have an IQ a few other higher than what Owen claims to have, so I know better than to expect much from high IQ people. Yep, that's and if you're a woman with that level of IQ, life is pretty harsh for you. I'm glad you're married. I'm glad you found the right zealot husband. Well, at least he's got the zealot genes anyway. That's very good. Yeah. Okay, Chris, I wonder if I could become a baron in 5 years if I save enough money. Would I have to learn Italian? Yep, you would, because you'd be living here. So it's going to be tough if you don't. I mean, for the little enclave, you wouldn't have to, but you know, you have to be good guests when you go somewhere else. Bridge says, got to go, so take care. Yeah. That's a that's that. You see, I didn't know what happened there, but Angel just put a little star at me, and I was like, what is that about? And she was then she repeated, says a few points how she was correcting a spelling, which I got anyway. And David Perkins just below that put at Kirgasm. Oops. No, I can see why Sir Hamster bans your comments on Social Galactic. Dan Boone says the gamma bears attacked me the other night when I correctly pointed out that with a cheap telescope I can without a doubt prove the Earth is a globe. Yeah, you don't even need the telescope, but yes, you can, of course. David Perkins. Oh, Michael says autocorrect. Huh? Pew Bear says, David, how many percentage has your coffee? David Perkins, it's okay, nobody will notice. It's not public or anything. He is, I'm sure he's English, he must be. Douglas says, Dan Boone, it's just a very fancy picture in the sky, so it changed when you used the telescope. Didn't you know that's how it works? Dan Boone, I'm not convinced that they aren't trolling about the moon and flat earth. It takes effort to be that self-deluded. Gavril, I've met some of these people in person. They actually believe the earth is flat and the moon is a lamp. I am not fucking kidding. I don't get the flat earth obsession thing. It's kind of like if you're retarded, then you might believe shit like that. Secret club, secret knowledge, secret kings, true belief in it, exceedingly gamma. I'm pretty sure Scorpio doesn't believe the earth is flat. And if he's still around, Scorpio, I'd like you to confirm, although I'll only get to it probably 20 minutes from now because I don't think that the stream is going to end anytime soon. David Perkins, any chance you would let Kurgan interview you on one of his streams? You seem to have a unique and pretty funny take on a lot of things. Yeah, why not? On a slow day, I might do that. Angel says, I didn't even know where you stood on EMJ. My respect for you had doubled. That man is a snake. He's absolutely a snake, and he wasn't kicked out of wherever he was kicked out of because he was, anti-abortion. There's some other nasty shit under there. And I know quite a bit of information on it because some guy sent me a lot of information on it. I haven't verified it with a third party, but the information he sent was pretty fucking solid. So, yeah. Has EMJ ever once mentioned the no-hide laws? I don't know. I would guess probably not, because he's probably one of them. Mm, yeah. Fascinating that you say that. Owen had him on over and over again, even with his mother, praising Emo Jones. Well, yeah, Talmuds of a feather hang about and blaspheme together. Yeah. Rokito says, true, the Catholics are the only ones to ever fight Christ's enemies. It's true, and you've got to. Why wouldn't you? That is why it's called the church militant. And that's why I'm saying that's another way that you can see that the Norco church is not Catholic at all. They're all bowing to the same fake, false god, the prince of this world, right? That's why I said a Probationist is the only actual Catholics left. They fight. Those guys don't give a shit. And you know what? The thing that I've met with the city Probationists and I've met them here, I've met them in England, I've met them elsewhere. They are. It doesn't matter if the guy's a studious little dude with his glasses. He'd be like, "Well, no, I'm not a fighter, but I'm going to stand in front of the church door, and if the cops come and tell me that I can't go in there, well, then they're going to have to kill me." And you're like, "What? This guy doesn't." Yeah, no, no. Jesus is Lord. That's it. I'm not moving. They're awesome. They're awesome people, regardless of their personal ways or knowledge or skills. They are, to a man, they will stand there, and it's something to see. If you haven't had that kind of thing before, it's like proper brothers in arms, like the song. And I agree with Angel that it's 100% implausible that Emo Jones doesn't know about the no-hide laws. So indeed. And Doug says indeed, and it looks like we will be needed again. We always are. History doesn't repeat, but it resonates. Yeah. Fuzzy Bear says, I once quoted one of EMJ's sources back to him to disprove his point, and he responded by impugning the source. Indeed. Indeed. He is that kind of a guy. He talks so much fucking nonsense anyways. That if you listen to him for 5 minutes, he contradicts himself every fucking 30 seconds. So it's pathetic. What is the title of Owen's intervention stream? I'm assuming it's on UATV. Yes, it is, and it's on bonus streams or something of Owen. That's where I saw it, anyways. So it's relevant to stand your ground and be proper Christian, Catholic, in a church built on stone of Peter, Orko, and the other heretics scattered. It's true, they do scatter. I have yet to find one of my parents is had a long email conversation with a Norco priest, and he's cornered him. Like, I mean, the guy is slightly autistic or very autistic, depending on your take, and he's just taken the time to go through Ludwig Ott and Danzinger and canon law, and he's just fucking hammered this priest with like very polite nuclear bombs. And one of the other guys we were discussing, one of the other guys put this clip up from some film. I think it's called A Bridge Too Far, if I remember right, where there's like these British guys fighting the Germans, and then the Germans come out with a white flag and say, "We want to discuss terms of surrender." And the English guys quickly look at each other and go, "Sorry, we can't accept your surrender. We would like to, but we just can't. Don't have the space to keep you guys as prisoners. So, thanks for the offer, though." Very polite, but basically telling them, "No, we're gonna kill every single one of you." It's like it's the English way. It's quite hilarious. It's very polite, and yet they stand their ground. I quite love that level of that English behavior is one of the things I find most endearing about the English, really. And Angel Martin says that doesn't surprise her at all. She's dealt with him too, and he's very slimy indeed. Angel says that she's a gamma when it comes to Owen, but let's be honest, he would call most everyone here a gamma for disagreeing with it. Yeah, that's alright. You're a lady. There's no such thing as gammas. They're all gammas. Women, really, in a way. But in a different way, so it's fine. Douglas Jones that says of Emo Jones, he has that sort of air about him that makes an honest man uncomfortable, in my opinion. That's a very brilliant way of putting it, actually. Deacon Blue, read Red Mexico or Blood-Drenched Altars to see Catholics react to their faith being outlawed. Then look at how the US Christians react to their faith being outlawed for the fake plague. Yep. Yeah. And Ricky Tanko says, where would you advise one to move in Europe? There's so many factors there, I can't really answer that. It depends. Do you have any European ancestry? Are you a deprivationist? If you are a sede, then Italy is not a bad place for that. But again, there might be Slovakia. Don't go there. Slovakia, I think it's Slovakia, because they are apparently like immunizing everybody and forcing it upon you. So you've got to find out which countries. But Italy is pretty balkanized, and it's relatively easy to get a residence status. If you got you need about like $7,000 in your account or something, and either have a job or have a long-term rent and sort of have some prospects of being self-employed or something like that. And it's relatively easy. I mean, it's a pain in the ass bureaucratic-wise. It's a fucking nightmare, but it's not hard to actually move to Italy. Oh, M asked for a quick summary, and Gavril says, Owen is a heretic, EMJ is a heretic, Vok can believe whatever he wants, Milo's trying to not be gay. That's a pretty good summary. Angel says, corrects Gavril and says, Owen is a Noahide Talmudic shill, whether he knows it or not. Look up the Noahide laws. Beheading for believing the Trinity, indeed. And MM says, LOL, very good summary, thank you. And Angel says that Knights of Columbus are all over her area of southern Indiana, and I live in Columbus, Indiana. Ooh. And also the way that Owen elevates Muslims above Christians is very Noahide, because Islam is 100% kosher. There you go. Okay, Woodard says, thanks for answering my question. I fell behind in the stream. No worries, dude. I'm behind in the stream myself. E Scorpio says, that jumpsuit looks very comfortable to do systemine. Yeah, I suppose it is. It's a bit cold out. It's quite warm. There's some commentary on what we were talking about with Fox's tantipotent instead of omnipotent. MM says, Milo helped me bring out of the liberal hive mind and made me get serious about the ancient texts and the ancient ways. This was back in 2017 when he was still allowed to speak on American colleges. Look, I got closer to Christianity by reading The Phenomenon of Man by the Jesuit paleontologist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who I found out much later was a complete heretic. So, whatever, God acts in mysterious ways. E Scorpio says, I'm much better company than Milo. For one thing, you shouldn't fall asleep alone if Milo's around. Yeah, you see, I don't get that vibe from Milo at all. You, on the other hand, we know that you Mexicans will put it anywhere. I mean, what's the age of consent in Mexico? 10 or something. You know, you're a nasty bunch. Rakitanko says, I think I'm one of the OGs, having met Vox and Kurgan years ago. Oh, well, if we've met, maybe you were in Paris then. And Mem says, I was shocked and ashamed that Milo, self-proclaimed degenerate, knew more about the Bible than I did. Well, Milo, like I said, is a very well-educated and intelligent man, so... Yes, and you know, the fact that Milo was homosexual, one of the people that has been most helpful to me when I was working and living in Italy before is a full-on homosexual. He's never even seen a naked woman. Um, and, you know, I spoke to him about, you know, we talk. I consider him a good friend. It's a sin, you know, but how many sins have I committed and how many sins do I probably do and how many sins do I even do that I don't even know are sins in most cases, you know? I mean, I'm kind of, you know, pretty good these days because I'm basically working my ass off on a farm, so there's not much opportunity for me to sin, but um, you know, I've pretty much done it all. So I'm not against a guy sinning, and especially when it comes to sexual stuff, it's really hard to undo those wirings, and usually there's, you know, like I said, abuse and stuff behind it. So Milo's a pretty logical guy. He knows what the score is, and I think giving it time, if he continues to pursue Christianity, I think he will eventually become a Sede. I hope he does, because I think that's the truth for his own sake. Unicorn Cupcake, do you think God hates Owen? No, I don't. I don't think God hates. Um, although we are told that he hates the wicked. I don't know that Owen is wicked. He's too ineffective to be wicked. The truly wicked are quite effective. I would love Milo to address no hide laws. Well, keep in mind, Milo's half Jew as well. So was Hitler. I told him on his stream, I think, I said, wait, you mean that you're gonna, because he said, you know, is it weird that I was a sodomite myself and now I just want to burn them all? I was like, well, it's not weird. I mean, Hitler was half a Jew and look what he did. And then I was like, quickly said, oh, wait, you're half Jew too. I mean, you could literally become bigger than Hitler. You know? But then again, there's quite a lot of evidence that Hitler was also a little bit on the gay side at some point. You know, was an artist, a painter. All I'm saying, look, if Milo starts painting, just buy his paintings, all right? Just tell him he's a good artist and just let it go. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, he did. Milo brought more people to God when he was a sinner than any megachurch pastor. That is why they kicked him out of colleges. He publicly rebuked the "do what thou wilt" left. Indeed, and you know, as he even said then, and as he's definitely living now, he never said like, "Oh, what I'm doing is okay." He didn't. Yeah, exactly. A good way to look at it is God doesn't need to not love us. We separate ourselves from Him of our own will, yet He persists in His love for us. It's amazing. Indeed, that's exactly right. Yeah. And I feel God can always love the potential for who we could have been, who He created us to be. We chose to conform to that potential, or reject it. Apparently, DNA has memory. Yes, it does. And if you're interested in that stuff, you really should read my Systema book and read some of the. If you can read Russian, you should read the stuff of Peter Garayev. Yeah. Oh, Douglas says that's something the Kurgan has talked about before. It's a very interesting subject. Fascinating indeed. The elite Luciferians know more about this than they let on, including blood drinking, etc. Yep, they do. Wouterbear, I'm so torn. Gonna have to deep dive into Kurgan's reading list and books because my first dramatic smack over the head of detriment to Catholicism of Vatican II was via Emo Jones. That's fine. Like I said, I was led closer to Christianity by a complete heretic, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And in fact, the reason that he brought me closer to Christianity is because I was so far from it that phenomenon of man was really trying to secularize and take you away from Catholicism. But I was so far from true Catholicism that it brought me closer. So, you know, like I said, God acts in mysterious ways. If Emo Jones is how you get to proper Catholicism, good for you. If Owen Benjamin is how you get to proper Catholicism, good for you. It doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. You know. Remember, all roads lead to Rome, eventually. I just found a free PDF copy of The Meme by Richard Semen, 1921, from the Cornell Library. There you go. Yeah, there were several printings of it. It was done in 1905 in German and then translated into English, I think, in 1914 or something. Megafin Dirk also found it. Yeah, and Douglas says, we're all on a journey, continue down the path, and God will lead. Scorpio, Kurgan, do you suggest Angel Martin immediately go Sede or dip her toes in with us novice orcas first? Novice orcas. You see? Yes. So you're new fat whales? Are you fat? No, Scorpio, don't tell me you've gone orca sized, killer whale, fat killer whale sized. Well, I would suggest to Angel Martin that, of course, she buys about 3 pallets of all my books and hand them out to all her friends before she reads it herself. But, there you go. And she says she's Baptist as the closest approximation, but honestly, I'm non-denominational. Yeah. I'm sorry, darling, but that means you're a Protestant. Filthy, filthy heretic. I will pray that you will come closer to God. And if my books lead you there, all the better. You don't have to buy my books. I'm just saying, it is the short route to get all the information you want in one place. But and Brad says, maybe I'm a Baptist. And Douglas says, I will pray for your soul. Elizabeth says, no way, Mr. Kurgan. Joel O is a false teacher. I follow Christ and Christ alone. He alone is the way, and you know that too. Yes, I do know that. And it's called Catholicism, my darling. So I hope that's what you mean by the way. You're just spelling it wrong. It's called Catholicism. It's a bit longer word, I know, but it's fine. You can do it. Wittenberg says it's been a really weird path. USA Catholic schooling and detours of shattered faith really sent me down the wrong path for way too long. Dude, the fact that you discarded the Novus Orco is good. I discarded the Novus Orco because as a kid, I was 7 years old. I remember the precise moment when I thought these people are insane and I want nothing to do with them. Because they are liars. They are a lie. If you're in any way, shape, or form somebody who longs for the truth and justice, you will reject the Novus Ordo because they're the antithesis to that. They're Satanists. And Deacon Blue says, true, MM, but neural nets unlock the DNA memories and people separated from their roots lose the key. Yeah, that is actually true. It's important for you to know your background if you can. Find out as much as you can about your history. I've tracked my family down to at least 800 years that we are pretty well recorded in history books and so on. And they are absolutely, they were, from what I can gather from the very beginning, the earliest part of the history of my Filotto family, that you can see the emblem there, the back there. I'll lift it up just so you can see. That's our what would you call it? Oh, I lost my brain fart. The heraldry of our family. That's it. That's the shield, or whatever you call it, emblem. What's the word in English? um, the heraldry symbol, the you know, your family crest. That's it, family crest. That's the family crest up there. And the earliest reference of that, it seems, were returning crusaders. They were in the about the year 1200 or so, which is when the people who had lived in the Outremer to hold the line for against the Muslims started to return, simply because after 200 years they couldn't hold it anymore. It was just financially becoming untenable, because they were, of course, having to be funded from Catholic Christianity, because, of course, as usual, the Orthodox are just making deals with the Muslims and continuing to help to attack them rather than defend them. And in fact, when the Catholics left, they even said, look, we've built the castles, we've built the protecting thing, it's your land, can you just take it back and guard the frontier? And they wouldn't even do that. So, you know, that's the fruits of orthodoxy. Orthodoxy. Unicorn Cupcake says, I think if you maybe had a bass guitar or maybe some bongo drums behind you, it would make you look cooler. Well, I'm a writer. I have my family crest behind me, people that I cared about, and language, that's what I care about. That's the dictionary. And although I do enjoy the odd bongo drum, possibly even the bass guitar, I don't know, it's not my thing. So I'm afraid you're just going to have to deal, Unicorn Cupcake. Angel says that they think it's refreshing for someone to actually read their chat. Oh, most of them do, but they just, are too high and mighty. I mean, what's his name? Tate Marshall, Taylor Marshall, the guy who's another pretend Catholic grifter who pretends to be Catholic, and he does the same Protestant thing. Let us pray. You're not a fucking priest. You don't tell me when to pray. Anyway, I sent him a super chat just to see his, and I saw him like actually see it. It's like when he popped on his screen, he just went and studiously ignored it. Elizabeth M. That is why we follow him and his church. Are you a sedevacantist? Yes, same thought I had. BLR467 says, Wouterbear, I know exactly what you mean. Besides Kurgan, what I found useful was Vox's Irrational Atheist and C.S. Lewis Mere Christianity. See, I read C.S. Lewis Mere Christianity years ago, and it did pretty much nothing for me, because he's a typical Englishman. He avoids the point of things and he skirts around subjects. If you want to read a proper Christian, read G.K. Chesterton. Read pretty much anything by Chesterton, because Chesterton will write a phrase that you think, oh my god, the man is insane, it's completely wrong. And 3 sentences later, you'll be like, oh, actually, he was totally right. And oh, I never thought about it that way. So that wakes you up. Angel says that it's another reason she respects me, because I show actual respect for my viewers. Yeah, why not? Unicorn Cup says, agreed, Angel Marty. That's rare praise. I think Unicorn Cupcake is a hardcore gamma from the Gamma Hive, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. Yeah, The Irrational Atheist is great. It was my intro to Vox many years ago. Yeah, no, it's The Irrational Atheist it's a good book. In fact, I think, yeah, I do. I have it on my shelf at the bottom there. So yeah, it's worth getting. It's worth reading. He makes some very good points. I've definitely read Mere Christianity after Vox's insistence. Just need to set up my researching while also stepping up my martial arts training. Well, there's always my Sistema book, If you just Google Giuseppe Filotto on Amazon, all the books come up. And Deacon Blue, if you're still in here, please read the Gospel for yourself. Luke 20:40. Okay. Angel Martin says, I don't enjoy seeing the bears abused. And Deacon and Douglas Jones goes, by Owen? Elizabeth M says that she doesn't know what sedevacantist means. Well, then you've strayed into the wrong saloon, lady. I suggest you sit quietly at the back and pay attention, and maybe you'll learn. And Angel Martin says, yeah, by Owen, by someone they trust so much. Yeah, that's a fair point. MM says, Deacon Blue, how are you still a Catholic and calling people father and so, and using rehearsed prayers and following the ones in the long robes after Jesus said not to? MM, I think you're about to get your ass kicked out of here. This is a Catholic stream, and you will hold your tongue or be kicked out. MM, you're right about DNA, but a real sucker for stupid, shallow hooks carnival barkers use. Yep. Oh, an Angel commenting on her IQ says that she's often mistaken for male online. I can see why that happens. My husband is very stoic and awesome. He would have to be. Yeah. Amy Burr, he trashed someone for starting Bear Church, said he didn't know about it when he did. Read a letter about it on stream, then said he didn't know. Is Mel Gibson the real deal? From everything I can tell, pretty much. I mean, he's a sedeprivation, he's a sedevacantist. He's made the most successful film on Jesus. He was fucking slated by the Jews and couldn't work for like 10 years or so. And I think he's making another one. He's making the sequel after the resurrection. So yeah, and plus I like his movies and I like him as an actor. I would hate to find out that Mel is part of the Hollywood scum. I think Mel Gibson is sincere, but I have been wrong before. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a beer with Mel. If Mel Gibson ever turns up at my house for dinner, I'll let you know what I think. Don't hold your breath. Oh, Elizabeth M says that she was raised Catholic, but she doesn't call herself Catholic anymore. Well, no, darling, you were not raised Catholic. You were raised Novus Ordo. They're Satanistic Freemasons that took over and usurped the church. And if you want to find out more, at the risk of showing my own book too many times, although it's like Jim, there, go read that. That'll explain to you. Oh, there's my name, so you can see what to look for on Amazon, okay? Go get that, read that, and then you'll find out why you stopped being Catholic. You never were. You were being done sacraments by invalid fake priests and so on. Yep. Angel says that she has to give that to the Catholics. God absolutely used them to carve out his territory. Yes, he did. Axe Haft says, EMJ, looks like I finally found something I can agree with Kurgan on. Didn't think it would ever happen. If you're the same Axe Haft from Social Galactica, I think I blocked you because you just talk so much fucking nonsense I can't be bothered to read it. But you're not blocked here, you're not banned here, and as long as you behave, you may continue to learn something. And in due course, perhaps, I might unblock you. I just don't have time for stupidity. And I'm afraid you are quite full of it and not very smart. So, David Perkins says, what idiot religion is your favorite? And Douglas Jones asked the same things to Elizabeth M. that I said. And by Catholic, do you mean Novus Ordo? Got to run. Arrivederci tutti voi. Arrivederci, man Hugo. That you might end up becoming an Italian. No, I don't think so. Roman Catholic, like, when the Mass was spoken in Latin. Well, that doesn't mean that you were not raised Novus Ordo, Elizabeth. So, Elizabeth, unless you're about 80 years old, I don't think you ever attended an actual Catholic Mass. 1958 was the last time that there was a valid Pope on the Holy See. So, if you don't know any of these things, may I suggest, Elizabeth, that you go and look at my video number 1. It's labeled number 1 But if you go to videos on YouTube and you go and look for it, it's not right at the bottom. It's slightly out of order, but it's in the first 10 or so. Just look at video number 1 and then video number 2. They're only 10 minutes long, and that will explain to you the basics of why you were never a Catholic to begin with. And the Wiggins says he fucking loves Mel Gibson. Yeah. Lethal Weapon, Signs. Slovenia. Slovenia is sort of okay. I don't know. I had a Slovenian. Like, I always get them confused. Slovenia is the tiny one, right? The one with only like 4 million people, I think. I had a girlfriend from there. She was really cool. Yeah. And Douglas tells Elizabeth that doesn't mean it wasn't Novus Ordo. If you're curious about the difference, you can read Believe, which experienced was most likely not real Catholicism. Oh yeah, Believe is a much shorter book, but Elizabeth seems pretty serious, so she might go for reclaiming the Catholic Church. Believe is a tiny book. It's like $9 or $10 on Amazon, and you can find it there. And Douglas says that he attended TLM as part of my journey to true Catholicism, but it was still illicit and invalid, hence sedevacantism. Traditional Latin Mass, that's what TLM stands for those of you that don't know. Okay, and Elizabeth says thank you, and Douglas says you're welcome. Good, I'm glad you guys did this little thing before I, in my rude way, tried to do the same. Pew and Bear says, I'm not sure that I'm ready to buy Milo's paintings if the style will match his fashion choices in order to secure world peace. I know what you mean. It's a close call. Maybe we can just say that the Kurganet will be neutral like Switzerland. She says, Angel Martin says that she's far more angered by adultery because it destroys families. Well, Angel, I'm sorry to break it to you, but adultery has a long history even in Catholicism. In fact, in many Catholic countries, and if you read God's Battalions by Rodney Stark, it mentions that, although the Crusades absolutely were a faith-based effort, the prostitutes never left the crusading camps, And in many Catholic countries, it's almost accepted that a man or a woman will occasionally have a fling, will cheat, will fuck someone else. But, it's kind of like, that's not a reason to get a divorce. And it isn't if you're Catholic. Now, I don't subscribe to that thing. I don't think that it's okay. I don't think it's forgivable or necessarily good or whatever. That if you fuck somebody else, then that's okay. I'm not saying that at all. But if you're Catholic and you're married, that's it. You don't get to divorce. Divorce is not one of the options. And human beings are fragile, frail, stupid, weak, greedy, envious, jealous, blah, 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 all of the above. And obviously it depends on the intention, it depends on the reason it was done and all that sort of thing. So, before I was married, I even had pretty fucking open relationships aside from, I had like more than one girlfriend at a time. They knew about each other, I told them. I was like, that wasn't the reason I necessarily didn't end up with any of those women or whatever. It's adultery can destroy families, but doesn't have to. But in the Protestant world, it's certainly a lot more of a wildfire than it is in the Catholic world, put it that way. David says we should be good as long as it doesn't get too involved in Polish border disputes. And Elizabeth says, I recently read the book The Gospel According to Jesus, and quite frankly, it destroyed any and all religions. No, it did not. you're just ignorant and you don't know what Catholicism is, and you need to educate yourself. And if you're actually serious about it, then I suggest you get the Pio Benedictine Code of Canon Law and you start to read that. That'll explain to you what Catholicism is and how it actually works. It's a set of rules of what Catholicism is and how it works. And you don't know what it is. You've never seen Catholicism. You don't even know what sedevacantism is, so you were never even a decent Catholic to begin with. Vatican II is completely heretical and satanic, and you were raised by Vatican II. You don't know what Catholicism is. And whatever trash you read, the Gospel according to Jesus, is some Protestant nonsense. And I guarantee you that if I picked that book up, I could shoot holes in it all day long. I haven't read the book, I don't know the book, but I'm certain that unless it supports the sedevacantist proper, truly Catholic position, I can shoot holes in that book all day long. Angel says that she will buy one of the books so she can understand where you guys are coming from. You know, more than understanding where we're coming from, it's to help you see where the truth comes from, because there's enough references there that you get an idea of what really happened. And Pion Bear says, I recommend Angel Martin to join Greenpeace and push over orcas where its place is, the ocean deep. That was a dig at East Scorpio. Ricky Tanko says, good night everyone, enjoy the relaxed vibe around here in Cristo Rage. In Cristo Rege, I think, or I misread it. Rage. Okay, Dances with Logos, oh crap, I didn't know you were still streaming. Yep, I'm back. Angel, glad to see you here. Joshua says hi to Angel. And I'm David Perkins. I don't adhere to or practice a religion. I just seek the truth and have found there is only one God. I adhere to his laws and statutes and commandments as best as I can. Well, you're doing kind of a piss poor job. Immortals never sleep. Also enough to know Babylonian paganism, i.e. Catholicism when I see it. Well, guess what, MM? You've just earned yourself a ban. Piss off. Elizabeth M., and by that I presume you include Catholicism. If that is the case, you're sadly mistaken. Protestants always think they have found the way, but they're deceived. David Perkins, that would be called a public declaration of heresy. Guards, take him to the stake. Yep, David Perkins on the ball. Recognized MM was just here to get burnt at the stake. Angel says that she believes faith is what saves. That would be the biggest sticking point, but it sounds like you guys reject the majority of all the things I dislike the Vatican for. No, not most. All of the things the current Vatican stands for. Every single one, Angel. And as for faith is what saves, I suggest you read the book of James. You might not know the book of James because Martin Luther ripped it out of the Bible, and so it's not present in some Bibles. So I strongly suggest you get yourself a Douay Remy Bible, because it is in English one of the better Bible translations, and that you also know that the King James Version of the Bible was translated by Pharisees for 700 years before it was used by Martin Luther as the Bible. So the King James Version has been edited for 700 years by people who literally hated Jesus and believes that he is in hell in a lake of boiling shit. I'm not making this up. So you might want to revisit which Bible you're using, because there's 7 books missing out of the ones that you probably were raised on. So Douay Remy's Bible is the one to go for. I also strongly suggest you get yourself a very good, decent interlinear Greek Bible if you don't already have one. And you will find that there are passages in the Bible that says that works save. So if faith alone saves and works save, how does that work? And I'm not a theologian, so I'm not going to quote the passages because I don't know them off the top of my head. But basically, Martin Luther took out the bits of the Bible that didn't agree with him. So if you're a Protestant, you're not following the Bible. You're not following sola scriptura. You're following Martin Luther's sola scriptura, because you're not following the Bible that everybody used for 1,520 years. You're using the Bible that he made up himself and chopped and changed and removed bits out of. In any case, sola scriptura is retarded, as anybody here probably knows by now. And Pewan Bear says Babylonian. Yeah, he's been banned. MM has been banned. Yep. And Deacon Blue points out to MM, the recently banned idiot, that Babylonian paganism is rooted in Jerusalem according to Christ. You know, the synagogue of Satan, telling others to read what you haven't. And David Perkins says to MM, dude, read a fucking book. MM said, he's banned, is deleted now, but he said, I watched a documentary that argued that Akhenaten was Joseph's pharaoh crazy. Elizabeth says, but I'm not Protestant either, LOL. Yes, you are, Elizabeth. You are a Protestant. You are rebelling against the one true, holy, and apostolic Catholic Church. That makes you Protestant. Yeah. And the Kurgan just did, Douglas says that I just did a stream about what it would take for strong men to toss out the imposters. Yeah, 10,000 men would do it. That's it. 10,000 actual Catholic on the planet that just decided, no, we're going to go to Rome and clear that shit out. And it would be done. And Joshua says to Deacon Blue, it's the tribe of Dan and Judah created the Babylonian Gnostic doctrine, whatever. Oh, God, this guy's a retard, MM. I'm so glad I banned him. I should have banned him early. Chesterton will be my next deep dive, Witty Bear. Well, hopefully only after you've bought 3 pallets of my books. Otherwise, the gammas are not going to be able to call me a grifter if I don't market it that way, you know. Dan is excluded in Revelation because they actively made all religions against God. Faith in Christ is not religion. Exactly. And David Perkins says to MM, yes, 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 we can read, thank you. Now go read a fucking book. uh, uh, Jesus, I can't believe a moron like that wandered into my fucking stream. Seriously. That mental moron, that's clearly what MM stood for. Louis Afar, someone hasn't seen the Gamma Chat graveyard. Yep. It's like he doesn't know that people get banned here without a first warning. You are, and Douglas repeats to Elizabeth M. just what I said earlier, that she is a Protestant, she just doesn't realize it. Whether you're part of another denomination or you have created one for yourself, you still are a heretic. Call yourself what you will. David Perkins continues to MM, not one with pictures. I love that sense of humor. Joshua, he just did an epic takedown of Owen's denial of the Trinity as Noah Hyde propaganda. Baby Jesus, the Catholic Church is actually representative of Horus and the incest loving mother. It also represents. Oh, is Joshua another one of these fucking morons? Baby Jesus to the Catholic Church is actually representative of Horus and his incest loving mother. It also represents the Antichrist and his mother. MM says, thank you for reading your chats. No, that's why you're banned, because I read my chats. Douglas must take his leave, says goodbye, good night. Angel says, it's been awesome, this made my day. I'm going to have to get going to wrangle the kids. Your chat is pretty cool, I must say. Well, thank you very much. You started the whole thing, so you've got to take credit for it as well. Joshua says the Trinity denial has Gnostic roots. They claim Jesus slept with Sophia and made their father talk about an Ouroboros trash doctrine. Yes, I don't know what Joshua's doing. I'm not sure if he's going to get banned or not yet. Yeah. Catholics are my ministry, said that cretin of MM. Well, not here, they're not. Yeah. Marco repeats what I said, that indeed you would have to be about 70 to have attended a actual Catholic Latin Mass. Wutan says, thanks for the streams. Look forward to more in the future. All you're welcome. Oh. Thank you very much. You're still following the law. Chad Hedgecock says, go away. Don't worry, he has gone. Not of his own free will, but... Joshua says, when I say Catholic, I mean to say the Vatican, what it has become. No, Joshua, correct yourself very quickly. The Vatican is not Catholic. I am Catholic, so the Probationist and the Vacantists are Catholics. If you say Catholic on the stream, you better mean Catholic, not the Novus Orco. That is what we call them here. You're new, so fair enough, but learn. Pooh and Bear says, looking at women with lust is adultery in God's eyes. That's why we need to work on that. We need to confess sins and accept Holy Communion, sanctifying grace, and move forward the straight and narrow. Gonna say, since I've become Catholic, I honestly haven't had much of a wandering eye at all, which quite a statement coming from me. So certainly, I think I've had more than one girlfriend tell me, oh, don't snap your neck when I turn to look at someone pretty, but I made no secret of it. I was always, I'm very appreciative of beauty in all its forms. So. I don't know, Joshua, I think you should just be quiet now. You're talking too much and not making a lot of sense. David Perkins says, guys, please stop. We're going to have to listen to this read out loud in a second. No, I skipped all those comments in fairness. You see, smarter than you think, David. Okay. Brad says he's so confused. Don't be, Brad. Just ignore Joshua and everything that he writes and anyone that responds to him, and you'll be fine. And Joshua apologizes and says that he's correct. I'm sorry for confusing the two. Vatican is not Catholic. Good, good. Now, tone it down, because you just... And we've reached the end of the chat. All right. Like I said, Joshua. What? We skipped it through gospel. Who are you calling a coward, Joshua? You're about to get banned. So, last chance. You're just kind of babbling, in fact. So, if you comment again, you will be banned. I'm giving you more than enough chances. All right, I got to the end of the chat. That was quite a thing, and there's still 49 of you. That's amazing. All right, so those of you that are still here, if you got actual questions about anything, doesn't have to be on the stream or whatever, fire them out now. Not you, Joshua. You keep quiet. I'm not coming from you and your band. Thank you for Peter Garayev, J.K. Chesterton references. Acres in Carefree. You're most welcome. Peter Garayev is awesome. I wrote about some of his work in the Systema book, if you're interested. And I'm actually the only person I know that got confirmation that Peter Garayev's work was done correctly through another guy, Rollins, if I remember right, who I also contacted for the Systema book because he was training special ops guys to learn how to get precognition to save their life in combat. And the work of Peter Garayev somehow intersected with that to a certain extent, and I was getting information from Rollins to confirm some of the things that I've learned from Systema scientifically, because I've done stuff in Systema that just sounds like woo-woo bullshit, but there is a scientific basis behind it, and I thought, well, people aren't just going to take my word for it, so I went to a place that to people that are actually studying this stuff on a very practical terms, because you wouldn't waste money trying to teach like special ops guys that stuff if it didn't have an effect. So Joshua used the @ key. There you go. No, Joshua, don't use the @ key. Don't talk anymore. And Pew and Bear says to Joshua, tell me how you're eating flesh and blood of Christ. How are you doing it being Protestant? Now, don't Joshua, don't reply. And Pew and Bear, stop talking to Joshua. Joshua's talked enough. If we have another stream and he comes on and he behaves, he can still talk. But if he makes one more comment here, he's gone. He's Scorpio. So, to recap, Owen is going to hell. He's Scorpio. You should know better by now. I am not one to say who is and isn't going to hell. That's for God to decide. Now, personally, my thought is that Owen is not going anywhere that's very cold, put it that way. The rate he's going, anyway. Will the Italians be crossing the border to volunteer for the coming French meltdown? No, David, because according to the prophecy, it will come from France to the rest of Europe. So, yeah, Pew and Bear says Scorpio wouldn't be so definitive. He is still alive, exactly. What was the breathing healing thing you were talking about a couple of streams ago? I hurt my wrist boxing yesterday. Michael, that's hard to explain on video. I mean, on chat, but and it's gonna sound like complete nonsense. But basically, okay, let's say you hurt your wrist here, okay, because you punched and you bent or you cricked it or whatever. If you like stretch out if you stretch out your arm and then try and like move it so you feel where the pain is, and then try and imagine that you're breathing in and that the air is going into your arm and out your hand, and that you're doing that, you're cycling that. Then switch it the other way around, that you're breathing in and it's coming in from your hand through, and then it's going out through your mouth. Do that. Just use your imagination to do that and feel it. Now, it doesn't matter why it works. There's a long explanation behind or whatever, but it does work. If you do that and breathe through it, it'll heal quicker. By breathe through it, that's what I mean, right? You're imagining your breath going through it as if it was coming out of your fingertips or whatever. Yeah. Just give it a shot. I'm not going to go explain all the reasons behind why that works, but that's the quickest way to explain it to you, that you might get some benefit out of it. So just give it a go. Gregory says, I'm curious what is meant by you'll do works as great and greater than mine. It can mean a lot of things on many different levels. Keep in mind that what Jesus did was in a relatively small part of the planet in terms of miracle stuff he did, whatever. So there could be a practical number of people aspect to it, and there could be another aspect to it, which is after the second coming, we don't know what happens after that. But what we generally think is that this whole place, and the whole is to divide the wheat from the chaff, to divide the people that are going to be absolutely loyal and therefore can be relied on to do whatever comes next, and those who are not loyal and not reliable, and they go to hell. So we might have jobs to do after the second coming. Al Spears, you are an idiot. Go and look at the last stream. At no point does the Bible describe or reference a Trinity. You're a fucking moron and you need to learn to read. It's the first 30 seconds of my last stream. 1 John 5:7. Disagree? Make one more comment of that level of stupidity on my stream and you're gone. And Dancer says thanks, that you'll catch up later. Al Spears, you forgot 1 John 5:7, exactly. David Perkins, where did these idiots come from? 2 hours into the stream and they suddenly appear and offer a dumb comment that was already addressed. Well, it is a stream about the Big Bear, so probably some of his followers, some random gammas, disgruntled Jay Dyer followers, who knows? It's could be any of the above. Megan Finn Dirk, martial arts related question. I'm 38 with gamma tendencies that I'm starting to work on. I'm not in bad shape. What would be a suitable martial art? Too old for boxing, Systema is unavailable. If Systema is unavailable, again, at the risk of sounding like some kind of grifter, I'd suggest you get my book Systema, because the principles you can apply to any martial art anyway. And then find whatever martial art is nearest you. If you've got gamma tendencies, maybe Jiu-Jitsu might be or Judo might be an easier intro, because the tendency, if you go to an actually decent striking martial art like Karate, or you can go for Taekwondo, because Taekwondo is a bit more flashy and not as hardcore. But if you go to a hardcore Karate class, or a hardcore, even a hardcore Jiu-Jitsu class or something like that, you're going to get punched in the face and you're not going to like it. And then you're going to think that you don't need that kind of thing and you'll leave. So maybe pick something where they're going to go a little bit easy on you, at least at the beginning, work your way up. Boxing is fine. Boxers are too old is up to you, but the thing about boxing is that, getting punched with a glove is actually more damaging to your head than getting punched without a glove, because you'll get cut, you'll lose teeth, you'll get a broken nose, which you also get, by the way, with gloves anyways. But the kind of hit is different. That's why after many years boxers get brain damaged, and most old martial artists of karate and stuff like that don't. So, pick whatever one is close to you and available. It doesn't really matter. Just try and get one that's a bit serious. Subconscious direction to send more oxygen to where you're focused. Dang, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, you're on the right track, Deacon Bloom. You Scorpio answers David questions about where the idiots come from. Many of them come from Bertaria. David says yes. David Perkins suggests to Megafin Dirk women's softball. He's a nasty piece of work, my immortal David. Casey Bansky says Owen is all about making money. There is certainly a big element of that, I believe. Deacon Blue, billions of planets and an entire universe to be fruitful and multiply. It seems to fit with what Adam and Eve screwed up and we are wallowing. Yeah, that could well be. Jiu-Jitsu Gamma reference. Well, cuddling, yeah. Look, Jiu-Jitsu is, that's why I suggested Jiu-Jitsu or Judo, not because it's the best martial art or anything like that. I don't think so at all. In fact, if you're ever going to get into a fight, try to avoid wrestling to the ground, because you're going to get your head kicked in. But it's, it's gentle for sensitive little souls, and then you can move your way up to actually places where kick you in the balls and punch you in the face and bite your ear off, if that's part of it. Because, if you go to a proper karate class, dojo kumite is pretty unrestrained. It's people think, oh, karate is just punching and kicking the air. No, that's just some part of the training. When you do what they call dojo fighting, you can put locks, you can do kicks, you can do whatever you want. You can headbutt a guy unconscious, you can fucking bite him. It's like literally you can do whatever. There is no And Chad says Bertardia. Yes, I think that is the better spelling. Deacon Blue is gone from one booming RE market to the next, following the downturns to the next upturn, that's for sure. I don't know what an RE market is, but okay. Megafin Turk goes to David Perkins. Any pointers? I could go on all night. Because David, you see, what you don't know is that David is a master of women's softball. He's been lobbing those softballs to his other girls for years. So you want to learn women's softball, he's your lady. All right, guys, it's been almost 2 hours. It's a couple of minutes to 2 hours. Tell you what, I'll go another 2 minutes and 10 seconds and call it, so we can make it 2 hours. So unless one of you gives me some brilliant question that'll make me carry on for another hour, I'd say we're getting to the close of it. Well, we have still 57 of you here, 66 thumbs up, and only 9 thumbs down. I'm surprised. I don't get it. I just started watching this video. What's wrong with Owen Benjamin? Go away. Go away, Minilja. Who sent you here? Robert Lucas says, just started reading about the Browns caplet. Do you wear any sacramentals? David Perkins. I done some boxing, but ended up with bad headaches is all. Yeah, like I said, boxing is, from a fighting perspective, it's not bad. But the problem with boxing is that the glove, getting hit with the glove repeatedly is it's not good for your head. David Perkins answered the questions. He drank paint thinner. Very good. Well, J, if you just started watching this video, that's why you don't get it. So go to the beginning, yeah? Don't run in at the end and go, what's this class about? Get the fuck out. More. Big Bear sent me here. Okay, good for you. I'll piss right back off and go and tell him that you're 2 hours too late. And he's going to have to watch it himself. Alright guys, that's the 2 hours are up in 10 seconds or so. So I'm going to say good night to you all. Thank you all for being here. And that's it for this one. Oh, Pio and Bear gave a serious answer to the latest reader that joined the chat. Alright guys, have a good night, and see you on the next stream.